Hi, everybody. Welcome to another great Sunday here with us at Ages Past on the Hoda channel. I am your DM for today, AJ, your friendly face that you have come to know and love for the past few months. And I have, of course, around me some spectacular players. But let us introduce them to you if you've not seen them before. So let's start, of course, with ladies first.
My name is Kayla. I play Valindra. She is the half-elf, half-tiefling Pact of the Undying Warlock, and she has the cutest little fennec fox companion, and his name is Winnie, and he's the absolute greatest, and he will save us all.
The key
he is also
Winnie.
The mascot.
But yeah, yes, of course. And next on our lineup, we have our friend over there at the bottom. Well, technically he's in the second from the top. Scott?
Have we done this right?
Yeah.
Yes, we're in the right
Okay.
places.
Yeah.
Just making sure this time. Hello, my name is Scott, and I will be playing Varkesh Stormcaller, the chromatic blue Dragonborn Forge Cleric.
Half
Goliath is
There we go, yeah. Everyone talking about their halves. Their other halves. Is it your better half, though?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
all
will
right.
leave the viewers to
He keeps saying he's best blue, so probably not.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have our lovely friend down at the bottom.
I'm Cody. I'm playing Rook, the half-tiefling, half-kenku rogue. But I'm calling it now, Winnie is actually the big bad, so he will in fact doom us all.
No!
You don't know. I mean, you really don't. But we'll maybe find that out later down the road. But no. But, of course, we have, last but not least, our most recent joined player.
Hey everyone, my name is Connor. I'm going to be playing Smoky Cloud, the Abjuration Wizard who is half Tabaxi and half Fire Ganassi.
Yes. So, with our mix of half-breed characters here, we have a stream that operates on Tuesday, same channel, runs at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, of course, feel free to join us on either of those days, and anytime you spend here or there, you accumulate Hoda points and loyalty points, which you can use to spend to influence the game by purchasing inspiration or health potions. Either way, it's a win-win all around. But for today, we'll be focusing on these four and the latest and greatest adventures in store for them. But before we dive into the game, let's have a little recap. So, last week, you all finally had the very well-deserved and long-anticipated defeat of this vampire foe that had been pursuing you ever since the beginning when you left River Run all the way to Alniel, persistently pestering you, but finally no more as you staked him and laid him waste in the sun, turning him to ash. And of course, though, during this process, you kind of made a little bit of a ruckus, Varkesh barging through a lot of pedestrians and vendors, and a few shopping carts thrown here and there, and some goods trampled, but nonetheless, you were able to pay for them for the most part, and Valindra did a little bit of some vandalizing damage as she broke a window to the nearby neighboring shop. But, fortunate for her, they were able to explain their circumstances to the guard and were able to pay off all the damages they caused, but they also found a lovely little gnome, a professor of sorts who was very intrigued and keen on not only competing the Traders Guild, but by doing so with a new invention of a steam-powered engine. And by sharing his new designs with the party, they were able to analyze and understand it enough to be able to try and create a prototype of this steam-powered locomotive engine by taking it and applying it to a raft, a river raft, a boat that was placed on the waters just to the southeast of the city, where Varkesh was able to fabricate the large wooden craft mixed in with all the metal and other components, with very much success getting a nat 20 on your understanding and capabilities to not only fabricate but also to now know the ins and outs of this engine fully. So should any mechanical failure So if any mechanical failure does happen, you have a good sense of being able where to fix the problem. But the rest of the party also gathered what provisions they needed, heading back into the city, gathering foods and better rations. Valindra making sure to get something better than just biscuits, to perhaps coax or bribe Varkesh later down the way. And Rook and Rook and Smokey also each taking what they needed, spending some time to copy some spells onto a scroll, as well as to just spend the time casually and leisurely, camping out on the boat as they look down at the stars and hear the crickets and birds and the chirping of other insects along the riverbed. Unfortunately, on the next morning, as you tried to embark, you seem to have drawn the attraction of some rather peculiar creatures that assailed the boat in an attempt to try and drown and take some of your party members with them into the waters below, their paralytic tentacles from their face seeming to nearly take Rook down with them, but luckily Valindra was able to pull him out and save him from the murky depths, as Varkesh battered everything with meteors of tiny little adamantine beads that he had given to Smokey as a means to hopefully perhaps learn his own animate object spell in the future. But as you all successfully pushed away these intrusive creatures, you are continuing down the river, heading towards the destination of Woodhall, where you had found the previous location marked on the map that you discovered in the mountain base just north of Alniel. But as we are traveling down the river, just in the early morning hours, you still have the sun slowly coming up to the height of the day as you have traveled down this winding blue road all the way past the fields off to your right, looking and seeing the many different settlements and estates that have just been planted there to be the food and the bread basket for Alniel. It's a rather peaceful journey. For the most part, you find that there isn't any what you would call kind of opportunity for anything to maybe even ambush you or catch you by surprise, because most of the land here, specifically on the right, is clear, wide open space. The left does seem to have a bit more trees and shrubs growing in there, but still, Florin Valley has been notoriously known to being more of a vast open expanse rather than a completely dense wooded area. So you make your journey with very little intrusion or problem, but you do spend quite a bit of time and you begin to think a little bit about how long the journey might take you. After some comparing notes and double-checking on your speed and looking at some relatively familiar landmarks, you do come under the realization that it would take you perhaps about a week to get all the way from Alniel up to Woodhall, maybe a little more, depending. For you do know now you are currently following the river downstream, but you will eventually have to turn upstream to get up into the Woodhall section of the river. Now, of course, during this time, you do know that the steam engine requires a fuel source of some sort. And as you are continuing to push forward with the fuel being fed in, the logs are being put into fuel the fire, you do know that you are going to run low. So you will have to park the boat eventually in order to resupply, unless you wish to just drift naturally.
We're on a boat!
Yes. You've
And this
said
has
that.
been the singularly worst boat ride of my life.
Have you had many before?
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Majesty. Does it not have a stateroom? Does it not have a porta potty for you to use? It's a fucking riverboat! I made it in like 30 minutes!
It was just faced by a series of crustaceans with boundary issues.
You've heard my feelings. You said this boat is not good enough. You've definitely heard my feelings.
Oh, it has nothing to do with the boat. The boat is lovely. In fact, this steam engine is performing magnificently, but
Okay,
the wildlife leaves much to be desired.
Okay, you said it's lovely, therefore I do forgive you. Just barely. Barely.
So as far as the difference between drift speed versus engine speed, what is that like?
From occasionally looking and checking between the two of it, you do know that going downriver, your speed is probably... You're covering about... Could be anywhere to like 70 to 80 miles in the day. With the aid of the engine, you are boosting it up to almost a little twice that, maybe at around 150.
I think I see a one-legged turtle beating us.
I think you have not had enough water because I think you're delusional. I think a one-legged turtle would be dead long before it reached maturity. So
Okay.
if we're going to run out of fuel, would it be better to stop for a day and sort of hack away some more wood and pile it up on the boat? Or would it be better to just...
I mean, we could do that, but I mean, since I'm a little worried that our calculations were off and that Professor Bimsey is expecting us back in about 14 to 10 days. And so with it taking a week just to even get there, I mean, there's no way we're going to get back in time, especially because it's going upriver on the way back.
Well, Varkesh could always just do one of those fancy messages things that he can do sometimes.
Yeah, although I've never actually seen Varkesh do that. I'm not sure if he can.
I've never seen Varkesh do this either. Wait, that's me.
Yes.
That's fair.
I mean,
Something worthy of note, we could also always be paddling while the steamboat is working its magic as well.
Asshole, no.
we could. I feel like us paddling won't help that much if we're already going downstream. Let's see.
I think it'd be best to refuel whenever we need to.
I say
Okay.
we gather the wood and then pile it on the boat, and whatever we have no room for, I will put to my bag of holding.
Well, consider, more wood on the boat means more weight on the boat, means we will move slower.
Not with the bag of holding.
Bag of holding.
The bag of holding would help, but he was saying pile it on the boat as well as on the bag of holding, which is...
To a degree. To a degree.
I mean, I think
And we can certainly do that as it becomes necessary, but we're not really surrounded by woods at the moment. Although, Smokey, don't you produce coals?
I mean, it's more flames, and they burn out in very quickly after leaving my mouth. Is the thing.
Yes, well, that would not really work for us then.
I believe your produce flame, you can hold it for, what, an hour?
I can hold
10
it for 10 minutes,
10
but
minutes.
I mean, it would produce heat, which I suppose is the most essential thing. So I could do that.
Yes.
And I can see most likely.
As long as a heat source is applied, you are able to refill the actual engine with the water in the river, so you can keep the pressure from the steam to work in your favor at that point. You just need a heat source. Could be magical, could be natural.
Ooh, I propose we supplement the flame that we already have with some of your coals or produced flames or whatever you want to call it, and let that work in our advantage to extend our supplies.
Quick question for the DM. I was thinking about this earlier when Valindra and Smokey were making the magical scroll that Smokey's now trying to learn.
The counterspell
It's an
scroll.
ongoing thing. Yeah.
Right. So, correct me if I'm wrong, because I read this, but I may have got it wrong. Wizards can take other wizards' spell books and actually write down and copy the spells into their own. And because making the spell is actually like making a magical item, so it takes time and money to do, but wizards can copy other wizarding spells. I know the animate spell, and it's a wizarding spell. Therefore, can I not just write it down and just give it to him, and then he does whatever minimum requirements a wizard needs to do to actually learn that spell?
That's what he and Valindra are doing right now. What kind
No,
of stuff?
they're making
a spell scroll, which is what you typically do see when a wizard wants to buy a spell at a shop and they copy it into their book, but technically they can copy from other wizarding spell books and old tablets. So yes,
However,
you could actually. Yes, the wizard can technically copy any spell that is written down. It does, because the spell scroll specifically is imbued with magic, so that when the spell scroll is read, you can activate a stored spell inside of it. But a wizard's book doesn't have stored spells in it. It just has formulas so that they can memorize whatever they need to on the day to release the spell that they have prepared. So yes, you can. Okay, all right. So all right.
Is that a good idea? Did
Okay.
I just help Smokey out?
Okay, all right,
I thought that-
all right. Do you have proficiency in Arcana?
Let me check. Check. I think I've never used Arcana before, but I will check. I will definitely check. I do!
You do.
Why?
Okay, all right,
Yes,
okay,
what?
so all right, so if you, all right, so since you have, because I know specifically one of the things that they mentioned is that in the Xanathar's Guide, if you have proficiency in Arcana, you're able to do the spell scroll. So I figured it would work on the same line. So all right, so I'll just say you'll make this check, you'll make a check flat instead of with disadvantage, since you basically already have the skill. Go ahead and roll for me an Arcana check. Your DC will be the level of the spell, similar to like a Dispel Magic. So you're doing Animate Objects, which is a 5th spell. Your DC will be 15. You will have to use supplies similar to a wizard in a degree in order to copy the spell out, because you are basically making the entire length of the spell for him to read. So you will need to borrow some either parchment and ink from someone to try to do this. And if you're successful, you don't waste any supplies.
Can I borrow some stuff?
I mean, I don't know if I have enough for all of it. I have, with the stuff I put aside for the spell scroll for Verlinder, I only have 140 gold worth left.
You wouldn't need that. The amount that he needs would only be basically enough to write the spell. So it'd be 5 sheets of parchment and some ink.
Okay.
Which I believe is like, is it a silver or a parchment?
I do have a great deal of parchment on my person.
You have, if you have parchment.
My grimoire has parchment, which is where he's writing it, I assume.
Well, because
finding.
Specifically what it is that your spell book is very, very useful. It has lots of very rare parchments or vellum inside of it, very high and refined. But what you do when you are, as a wizard, when you start to copy spells into your book, you make practice analyzing all these different shortcut notes. You use scrap sheets of paper, and then you put the final one in there. The study is what is keen for a wizard to take the time, because they have to analyze an extensive amount of spells and formulas, decipher it, and then reinterpret to their own way that they think for mathematics and calculations. Their own madness, in a sense. Yeah. So when for instance you buy parchment and ink from another one, you basically just provide yourself with scrap pieces to test and experiment on until you get it right, and then you put it into your spell book.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I give him the scratch pieces of paper and ink.
Now what?
Make a DC Arcana check. Just since you have proficiency. Okay, not quite. So you start to do this, and the idea comes to you that maybe perhaps you can try to translate it. Though, of course, your spell is something that you know wizards are capable maybe perhaps of understanding. You do get this source of knowledge from your god and deity. So on your attempt to do this during your, like, kind of at least a few hours on this travel point, you do just start to crumple papers, throw it off the side. It doesn't quite get exactly what you're looking for. You were close, but it didn't quite click. You were not quite getting a hang of it. You think you might need to just borrow some more paper to try again.
Can I borrow some more paper to try again, please?
Sure. How much paper per try?
Just give me the whole book.
Like 10 gold.
It is 5 pieces of parchment plus a bit of ink. So my guess is it would be 1 silver per parchment and 1 silver worth of ink.
Oh, okay.
So it's 5 silver per attempt.
I can provide some parchment, at the very least.
Okay, Barkesh, here's the next 5.5 gold of materials.
It's just going to be like covered in like scrap bundles of paper.
All right, as he's doing
Can't
this, yeah,
burn the paper?
Yeah.
you could. It will not be very effective, but certainly you can burn it.
I mean, yeah, my hands are just constantly underneath the boiler at this point. Yeah, go ahead, it's in my bag.
Wait a minute, can I not cast guidance on myself when I
Oh,
next?
totally good.
If you have guidance as a cantrip, yes, you can.
Oh, I don't have it as a cantrip.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't switch out your cantrips, so even as a cleric.
So yeah, so sadly you would not be able to do that this time. However, during these hours that you are spending trying to translate divine understanding into practical paper, who is steering the boat?
Oops.
I will.
Rook is steering the
was
boat. All right, Rook. As
Can
you are,
I-
Yes.
I just want to keep a lookout and make sure that he doesn't like hit anything.
Okay, are you doing that instead
also-
of copying your spell?
Can I do lookout while I'm doing the...
Yeah, you can look out while you're crouching, doing a little like.
Yeah.
Okay, if he's lookout, then I'll be working on the spell for Smokey. And break!
All right, so you guys go ahead. Okay, so Rook,
I'm ready, Coach. Put me in.
Rook, you take the helm as you begin to guide this steamboat Winnie down the river towards your destination. Now, just for all sakes and purposes, can you please make for me a vehicle handling check? Do you have proficiency in this?
I do not know.
All right, so it is just flat wisdom then for you. So go ahead and roll a wisdom check for me.
Okay. That one, boy.
Okay, so
Go down like the Titanic.
During-
Please play a fiddle.
during your moments of trying to find the right depth of the river, doing your best to avoid sandbanks, Varkash, as you are beginning to, you're like, yes, I think I have it. I think I. You suddenly feel the lurch of this boat hitting a sandbank, and all of you just go and tumble a little bit. Smoky, blah! You fall backwards. No longer hands underneath the furnace. Varkash, papers are flying everywhere, and you can see Rook is up at the helm, looking down at a massive dune that has caught the bow of your ship at the front. You are currently stuck. You're wedged.
I look at him over and look up. I think we're under attack. Someone raised that sand in front of me.
You stupid.
It wasn't there a moment ago.
I mean, are we like on land or are we like stuck
No,
on
you're-
sand that's
The dune is a little. It's close to the bank, the river bank, so it's about maybe a good 15 feet or so away from the actual side of the river. So it's kind of like this extra piece of land that just came out a little bit.
Okay, so we basically have run aground, essentially.
You've run aground.
I mean, I could get out and try and push.
Can I Eldritch Blast the sand away?
You can try.
I'm gonna try it. Let's see what happens.
Okay, so
very
as you
easy.
get to the bow of the boat, you just start pulling out these portions of energy. This weird kind of like invisible force that you then shoot out and shoot out. You just eventually start peppering the bank, just slowly making small, tiny little dents, little bits.
I mean, I could have pushed it.
Well, but then you might have gotten left behind.
I'm 8 foot
I could
tall.
levitate him.
Could you levitate the boat?
Boat's too heavy. I could try and levitate the sand, though.
Oh.
It'd be like that movie, The Rogue, that giant crocodile that's just after the people on the boat. It'd be like me. Just wearing full plate, though, and blue.
Yeah, could you try like levitating the sand? Just
Yeah.
Will it work on all the sand and not just a single grain? Because that would be a little embarrassing.
Okay.
I mean, I could just get out of the boat and push the boat.
Barkash's idea also sounds good.
I think Prakash has a good point. If we push it enough, it'll work.
Yeah, and Barkash, here, I'm going to toss him a rope. Tie this around yourself.
not around your neck, around the waist.
Thanks for clarifying, because fucking.
I know. I know.
This is how you do
Can
it!
never be too careful, apparently.
Not with Varkash, no.
All
I
right.
don't have a great intelligence, but I'm quite wise.
We should tie it around his tail, because then he can curl it around it for added leverage.
So, Barkash, after you push us off, I'm going to cast Levitate on you. You'll float and be weightless, and then we'll just reel you in.
How much can he lift in terms of
500
weight?
pounds.
I weigh 600 without plate.
Can't you just poof him into smoke?
I need to touch him.
Damn it.
You could...
So how about you go out on the rope? We reel
How
you
about-
in because you are significantly lighter, and Varkash can still do the smoke.
My God, this is so complicated. Okay, we
Listen.
can do this.
Have you ever pushed a boat off the bank? I mean, I'm not exactly going to pick it up and shock put a boat across 2 miles of water surface. I'm going to push it off the sandbar, and then I'm going to climb back up. This is...
Well, are
Why
you
am I
saying that
making sense? I'm the crazy one.
Are you
Okay,
saying
how
that
about...
there is, in fact, an interior talents? You can't shot put boats?
Don't
Ooh.
push me, bird.
I didn't push you. I'm simply raising a valid point.
Okay, so how about this? Just putting it out there. Okay, so Smokey, Varkash, and I get out of the boat. We all push it. And then Smokey can poof Varkash back onto the boat, and then we can dimension door back to the boat. This is the most complicated plan to get a boat.
As opposed to you just going off with Varkash and dimension dooring him back after he's done.
Valendra and Varkash go off. You push. I can just stay on the boat. I maybe will take over steering.
I mean, that
Hey,
might also.
I told you this wasn't there before. I don't know why you think you driving would be better.
It's a rogue sandbar.
you guys could just stay on the boat. I will push it off the sandbar.
Well, I'm coming with you just in case. Remember, we had this discussion earlier. Nobody's going off on their own, not even to push a boat. So let's go. I'm gonna help Varkesh push the boat.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to very exaggeratively crawl off the boat and go, why is this happening? Why is this happening?
Because Rook can't steer.
So yes. So
I might end up drowning the cat. I just might drown the cat.
so
I don't know why, but I feel like I need to.
Okay, alright, so Varkesh and Valindra, you both disembark from the boat, sloshing into the shallow area right where the sand dune is kind of pushed out into the river. You wade your way through as Varkesh, you get ready, and you place your hands on the side of the boat, and you just go... It goes away loose, and you just see the boat start to go. It is a rather slow progression.
And
You
then
can get right back on if you want. And you get right back on.
Sweet.
I will do.
We'll
Yes.
get right back on.
And you get right back on without any need or difficulty to waste spells. The simplest solutions are always the best, as this was more of a fun thing rather than over try to complicate and fuck the players. But either way, so...
I would like to perform a medicine check on myself and check my blood pressure.
Go ahead and make a medicine check as you put your 2 fingers to your neck. as you start-
Horns, because that's where the pulse is in a Dragonborn, is the horns.
in the solid bone, yes, of course. Clearly, that's the only place where you would.
In the dead tissue.
So a medicine check. 13.
You get the sense that you've worked a little bit, but I mean your heart rate's
I'm
fine.
alive! Oh wait. Nope, I'm alive.
Yeah, so you're okay. You were able to avert the heart strain and just overall exhaustion that comes from slightly dislodging a floating vessel that's just been slightly wedged into some loose sand. So, back on.
And then I'm going
course
back
you go.
to.
Yes.
And I... Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. But yeah,
Go ahead.
so Varkesh, you go ahead and you try to once more put your thoughts to paper. Make an Arcana check for me.
Okay, I can do this. I cannot do this.
Closer. You get much closer this time. However, it's still not quite enough as you try to take the notes and you give them to Smokey to look at. And Smokey analyzes the pages and he has more questions than actually understanding. And you get the sense that when you tried to make it work, there were a few key pieces of information that you might have missed out on, that you might have found an error here or there and they just don't add up. But similar with programming a computer, finding that one little bug and little error that you made in the whole sequence is really hard to do, so you just fold it up, scrap it, throw it into the furnace, and let it burn so that it can add to your fuel supply.
I will get this. I mean it. I will get this.
About another 3 hours have passed during this time as you try to continually do this, and basically you have now spent a gold worth of resources trying to copy this. Valindra, are you still copying your spell at this time? Valindra.
Yes.
Okay. So it's an 8-hour day kind of work
Yes.
shift if you
Can you
focus
hear me?
on it. Yes, we can hear you. Yeah. Are you
Okay.
liking? Okay, all
Just a
right.
second.
All right. I guess it was a little lag for me, but that's okay. All right. So, with that in mind for you, you are basically you're focusing more of your work on that for the time that you're spending on the raft. So you're not really doing much for lookout, you're not doing much for checking on engines or steering. Smokey, you are keeping an eye out. Make a perception check for me. As Rook, you continue to steer. No more sandbanks in the future, or at least in the nearby foreseeable future.
Alright, perception! I roll a 9.
It's kind of hard. You're in a squatting position, and for the most part, you're focused on trying to keep your produced flame right under the furnace to make sure it provides the necessary continual heat. So, yeah. I mean, and at the same time, when you're squat, about half your vision's covered with the the rails of the ship. So you're just
Yeah, my tail occasionally gets in my way.
the tail. Yes.
If you guys are rolling this bad, I am terrified to roll.
I mean, maybe you'll be the god for rolls this time, but yes. So, you are spending your time going down the river. About half the day is gone with Varkesh attempting to do this. We can just fast forward it if you'd like in terms of the majority of it. You have a week's worth of time to do anything you want to, put your task toward. So.
I tell you, if I cannot make a DC 15 by the end of a week, I'm going to give up playing this game.
You would have gone through so many things at that point. All right, so Varkesh, go ahead and make another Arcana check for me.
Buddy.
I believe in you. You can do it.
Glad someone does.
Come on.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna start screaming and grow some hair, and then I'll do some Super Saiyan stuff. Hopefully, this will.
The blonde hair, right? Yeah.
Whatever works.
Ah! Yes!
Yeah!
Okay. So.
The threat of going Super Saiyan made the computer do its thing.
So
she says both of your races don't grow hair. Dragonborn and Goliath.
True.
Like,
but
concentrate and grow some hair follicles, it'll be fine.
With the key phrase holding true, third time was the charm for you, and you find that not only are you able to catch the error you made before, but you also now are able to successfully hand the pages off to Smokey, and Smokey, you now understand the fundamental basics that Animate Object requires in order for it to be a functional spell. If you wanted to copy this into your spellbook, you could. Given some time and a few pieces of gold and ink, parchment and ink, you could do it.
Question: does he speak Draconic? Does Smokey speak Draconic?
No, I guess not.
Oops.
Oh my god, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm just kidding. It's in
Oh my.
common.
I was gonna push you off the boat.
That is universal damage.
I was gonna say I could translate that shit, but
It's in double. It's like a codex of Dragonborn or Draconic and Giant. It's just like a mixture of the two.
In most cases with spells, Smokey, you do know that a majority of the symbols and writings on there are arcane runes. They don't necessarily translate to a direct language. It's very similar to anyone who casts Comprehend Language on these things. They would just see them as symbols rather than actual words. So, for the most part, it's a very easy enough thing to translate. Now, of course, this is why it does take you time to effectively decipher the correct one for you. You actually can see where the basic format of the spell functions. Now you're going to have to just practice get it working. Oh, thank you, Mr. Biff, sir. But yeah, so go ahead. Do you wish to start copying during your time?
I mean, the only thing I'm worried about is that I think I only have enough to actually copy Counterspell into my book. No,
I can do that too.
I have a little bit of gold. I only have so much paper. I don't think I can finish copying a 5th level spell into my book.
Okay, so let's see.
I do still have 30 pages of parchment. Just saying. This has been offered up.
It's the bud of potential hope. Who said that?
So, okay. Well, all right. All right, how many in gold value do you have of parchment and ink from the loot stores that you got? Was it 250?
I had started off with 300, and you told me I needed to use 160 for the counterspell scroll.
To continue over the course of the period to do that, yes. So you are spending it while doing it on there, but if you choose to not continue with it, the gold will return back to you. That's basically your total every day accumulates to that number. So you haven't lost all those sheets yet, so it's up to you where you want to allocate them.
I'd probably focus on counterspell, to be honest.
Okay.
Son of a bitch! I went through all that and pushed a boat. You know what? No.
It won't be wasted, Markesh. I just need to prioritize. I'm in a situation whether I need counterspell.
You know how complicated it is for this Dragonborn to write down on paper what he means coherently?
I will technically say this, Valindra, you're not stupid. You do begin to understand that when Smokey talks about maybe perhaps sharing the knowledge, that you could also try to transcribe it rather than infusing a spell scroll. So if you wanted to, you could do what Varkesh did and instead of creating a spell scroll which takes more time and more energy because you have to spend a spell slot to make a scroll, you could instead just write down the basic format of the spell to give to him, saving him paper and time. But you would obviously not make a spell scroll to use.
So if I make the spell scroll, we would have a spell scroll and the spell for his book?
Correct. Anything that he can see...
Yeah, it's like making a magical item.
Yeah, so the spell scroll has enough magic infused that it can be released on command.
Okay, so you can have the copy of the scroll and the copy in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I will keep working on the scroll then.
Alright, so delaying Smokey ever receiving it and spending more resources just to create the scroll, you go ahead and continue...
Come on, I'll just...
Yay.
I'll just
You can do both, by the way. You can do both.
Well, I just feel like we've already put in so much time. I'll transcribe it because it's going to be faster, but then I will continue working on this.
Yes, you can absolutely do that. You can totally do that.
I will do that.
Alright, so you put a pause on the crafting of the scroll, and instead take a note from Varkesh's book and try to go ahead and transcribe what you know Counterspell to need and require so that Smokey could learn it for himself. Do you have proficiency in the Arcana skill?
No.
Okay, I need you to make this one with disadvantage, but your DC is 13 since this is a 3rd level spell.
Okay. It's a disadvantage?
It is.
Oh no, you guys. Oh, that's pretty good!
Alright, well, pretty much mirroring the same 15-15, so for you getting the idea and seeing how Varkesh did it, you kind of learn from his mistakes, and you are able to produce an effective piece of paper that holds the necessary knowledge of Counterspell for Smokey to copy at his leisure. So
I
Smokey,
high-five Valindra.
you see that Valindra, she spends about maybe 3 hours during the time to do this, but you can continue to work on the spell scroll at this time. The days are going to be mostly just going on the river, and if Rook is at the steering wheel, you can focus entirely on this.
Yeah, I'm gonna just tuck the copy of the pages into Smokey's spellbook so that they don't float away or anything like that, and he'll have them, and then I'm gonna keep working on the scroll.
Alright,
I
okay.
want to stop the boat to gather wood.
Alright, so near the end of the day, you want to just maybe do this time, get some food, replenish yourselves, eat, get the wood.
And get some firewood, because we kind of have Smokey's hand underneath the boiler all day, every day. Otherwise, he's never going to be able to sleep.
Okay, alright. So I'm sure very similar to the cowboy leg side straddle, Smokey, when you try to stand, you have that weird kind of bending walk. Your knees are kind of semi-locked.
You hear his spine just start to crack as he finally straightens up after several hours.
You poor thing! Do you need my healing hands? I'm not gonna heal you. I just said I didn't want them because, it's me.
I mean, thanks for the offer, I guess.
Welcome! Not really, but you're welcome.
I'm just gonna lay down on this grass over here. And, awkward.
Varkesh,
Yes. Oh, birdie.
do you think if I got you some sand, you could make me some glass vials?
You want me to make you things? Will you say thank you after I've made them like the other things I've made and I've gotten a fuck all thank you from any one of you?
I say thank you every time, Varkesh.
And your breath, you never really mean it.
Okay,
He's fishing
that's fine.
for praise.
That's fine. I'm gonna take one of his scones and I'm gonna throw it in the river.
Oh!
How are we gonna do that? They're all in my inventory.
No, never mind.
Good night. She just tackles Rook to the floor. Give me this fucking gun!
I mean, Valindra Smokey has got 2 hands on the wheel, so
I need leverage.
doing a quick reach around or reach in is fine.
Steady. We're on a boat, but you can steer that totally.
I mean, there is such thing as a love boat, but yes.
Oh my gosh.
Fuck, you kidding? This is more like Gilligan's Island than the Love Boat.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, on your stranded on an island, there's not much to do. But either way, So you go ahead and you make yourself a kind of wedge to the side of the sandbank again to keep the boat from drifting away as you disembark to gather the necessary firewood that you will want to use to replenish your supply. Varkesh, are you doing this alone or others helping you?
I will chop the wood by myself.
All alone?
Because I've got the axe and I'm big and steely and blue. I'm not going to be very far. You can probably still see me. I'm at a tree. It's like, yeah,
that's fine.
Take that tree.
Okay.
See that coming.
It's just fine.
It's just do it all on his own.
Yep.
Okay.
If no one helps you, so right. So
I'm right there.
That's fine. That's fine. You just make a lot of your checks flat with no advantage. So you go ahead and go off on your own to find whatever easy tree and whatever you might choose to use to make your fuel source with. So you have an axe. You're fine. You're great. Go ahead and make for me. Yeah. All right.
I have just parked the boat and we have gotten off together. I have the Paul Bunyan axe. I go to the nearest tree in view of everyone. I don't do a rook and go sneaky and run away and keep secrets. I'm chopping a fucking tree.
That's fine.
Right there.
So
big tree.
I need you to make for me some checks. There'll be an accumulation of them. So first, make me a survival check.
Okie dokie. 19. I'm very survivor-like.
And then a strength check.
Bear Grylls has nothing on me.
Sorry, or you can substitute this with athletics.
You sure?
Yes.
Oh, I fell a tree in one.
All right, I would say that with that,
barely
go ahead.
A
right, yeah. Go ahead and make your Constitution save with advantage.
Do I avoid, is this me getting out of the way of the tree before it falls, before I start floating?
No, just make your con save.
21.
All right, you're fine. So, over the course of the time that you all spend waiting for Varkesh to finish his task of regathering the wood, he does seem to not only find the best trees that look to be easy enough to chop down, but will still provide an ample amount of wood with a little less extra effort to trim the branches or leaves or any other things that might be in the way, as well as the fact that he starts to chop them with such vigor and efficiency that it takes very little time for him to fell a multitude of these trees. And being able to do that, he doesn't waste as much time and energy in order to do this first stage of the process, that he begins to chop them into pieces and haul them back to the boat. This kind of version of going left and right, each time transporting a section of logs that he puts on the boat to be used later. That is what your Constitution save for is, because you are basically moving with kind of like a weighted down motion going back, weighted down motion going back. If you wanted to stuff them in the bag, you can. That would basically like you stuff as much in the bag as you can. Arm load, do the same thing, but you're fine. You're able to bring about a good selection of wood, probably enough to at least supply the party for a few days with a constant fire in the furnace.
Best blue shall be tattooed everywhere on my body.
Now, at this time, with your guys' attempt to craft, efficient spells for Smokey to eventually add to his book, as well as pushing the boat off of some sandbanks and continuing to copy your spell and gathering wood, the day has come to an end, and the boat can still travel during night, so you have no problem continuing your journey at this time, but you will eventually have to take shifts in order to make sure to keep the boat on course, as well as to maybe keep an eye out for any potential danger that might be lurking in the darkness. So, who is steering the boat first?
I have one thing
Yes.
I have one thing I want to do before I go to sleep. I want to take the 1,000 silver coins that I have in my person and cast Fabricate and turn it into a silver mirror.
Okay, so you just want to make it... All right, you will probably pull some sand in order to make the glass, because the silver is used on the back of the glass to give it that nice... but yes, no problem whatsoever. So, you gather some of the silt that's in the riverbank, and this is probably something you would have done as you would have loaded the wood on, and take some of the silver coins to create a... Do you want it to be framed, or just a flat piece of glass mirror?
Oh no, it's going to be like a really ornate Disney princess mirror, but it's got like a really cheeky thumbs up grin head motif of myself right at the top of the mirror.
Of course it does.
Oh, okay, all right. So giving the little Varkesh embellishment, so that's fine. So yeah, you absolutely use your spell to fabricate a silvered handheld mirror that has the intricacy and beauty that usually would see in some craftsmanship around the ridges, leading up to a very perky and some would say cocky looking relief sculpture of Varkash giving a thumbs up, as you have now a beautiful silver glass mirror.
This is beautiful. And the mirror is great too. And I put it in my bag of holding, and I get ready to go to sleep.
All right. Luckily, with your skill in blacksmithing and jewel crafting, this is something you are able to manage.
Did we bring sand onto the boat as well for...
You could have brought any
the
amount of silt if you
glass
wanted. Yeah, sure. If Rook specifically asked Varkash to do that, he could.
If that's the case, then I suppose... Yes.
I did indeed.
All right.
So, seeing as I can fabricate multiple items and fabricate spell, I will do that as well.
Sure. With your one fabricate, you can do at least 8. So one of the items is the mirror. The other 7 are glass vials of whatever size you wish.
Fantastic. And then I'd like to use my newly acquired alchemist's kit to attempt to make acid.
Acid. All right. So, with your basic chemistry set that you have acquired, go ahead and make for me your alchemist kit check as you try to mix and match some of the different elements to make acid.
I am not proficient, so...
Okay, so then you just make an intelligence check.
Alright. Wasn't a natural one this time.
That's a good thing, because acid in a hole in the boat would be very bad. So... Thank you, Mushan, for the follow. Now, of course, you work as hard as you can to try and remember some of the basics that they taught you when you actually purchased the kit, a little bit of understanding how to maybe make an effective vial of acid. However, for you, you spend almost the rest of the evening trying to make something, and the best you get is probably something akin to maybe a little bit like a citric acid.
Vinegar.
It's vinegar. It's kind of
Maybe
like
not great for
with
drink.
enough contact. Ouch! But like right now, it's just kind of a very dull one.
Guys, I've just discovered this new thing, vinaigrette.
I bet if I put some cucumbers in here, I'd make some pretty fucking tasty snacks.
No,
Rich.
You could totally ruin someone's desserts.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's a great idea.
You mean me? Oh, you
Oh,
bastard.
the
would
pranking
never do
war
that.
will
Also-
begin.
Also, Varkesh, thank you
Nope.
very much for these glass bottles.
Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
They're very clear and high quality.
Thank you. That's all I need to know. And you are most welcome.
Okay. So,
God, it's good to be me.
as the evening has pretty much settled across the land, we need those who are going to steer the boat and keep it safe from harm. Something else, Varkash?
Okay. I'm just going to add very, very, very quickly at the very kind of like there's a maker's mark on like whoever makes like glass bottles and stuff.
Yeah, so trader's mark.
It's just going to be my trademark saying that around the bottom of the rim there is no end to my talents, right, kind of like underneath the actual glass bottles themselves.
Okay, sure.
Like the reuse, recycle only.
Yep.
Things.
There is no end to my talents, right underneath them.
That is fine. You can
Glorious.
trademark
Nice.
any of your goods that you craft from here on out with "There is no end to my talents." Trademark Varkash. Maybe with a big V in the middle of it.
For Vendetta or Varkesh, whichever.
But yes, you can absolutely do that. So again, Valindra wants to say something. No?
Well, I was just gonna say, if we're gonna take the night in shifts, I mean, who all can see well at night?
Who said that?
I'm pretty sure all of us can except for Varkesh.
Yes, the night
so
doesn't bother me too much.
Okay. Okay, so I guess it doesn't matter who takes what watch when then. It's fine.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Varkesh and not.
All right. So, the first watch is by Valindra.
Smoky.
Smokey. All right, Smokey. Go ahead and make a perception check as well as a... Do you have proficiency in vehicles? Water vehicles specifically? Doubt it, so I'm going to say you probably don't. Now, all right. Wisdom
No.
check for me with that, and a perception check for me.
start with the wisdom check, and it's just straight wisdom. It's not a saving throw.
Just straight wisdom.
That is a.
All right.
Not a 1.
That's not a 1. It's still below a 10, but that's okay. And then your perception check for me, please.
Okay. Perception 23.
All right. So
Nice job.
you're able to try to avoid a lot of what you would consider potential sandbanks that might make you run aground. So you are almost last minute averting these. They're just kind of like skirting them, but you kind of hear some little... There's a little bit of scraping, which kind of slows your pace just a teeny bit from time to time, but you're doing your best to not do what a rook did, so you're okay. Keeping an eye out...
I'm not going to pull a rook.
You're not going to pull a rook. Keeping an eye out on the nearby surroundings, you find that you come across the first fork in the river. This one actually leads back to the left. As you come into it, you notice that you're being fed into a larger, wider stream. Now that you are getting a second one to join into this vein of water, you now have the entire widening of the river become more like a 200-foot span, as you have far more space now to go through it without having any problems. So, you feel now that perhaps you really wouldn't have much trouble steering the ship.
Good. I say while I'm sleeping.
And you do spend your entire time safely guiding your ship down the way. Now, for all the rest of you, I need, who's coming next? It's either Valindra or Rook.
I'm sleeping because I'm useless in the dark.
Yeah, you are. I'll go next.
I heard
Okay.
that while I was sleeping. Oh, vengeance will be swift.
And how long is each shift?
Each shift is about 3 hours and a bit.
Okay. Can I use Unseen Servant to steer the boat so I can get like a better lookout?
Certainly.
So like I can stand at the front of the boat and tell him when he needs to move.
Yes.
Like what direction he needs to move the boat. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So, when Smokey wakes you up, you ask him just to wait for 10 minutes, just for a little bit longer. Oh, actually, you don't have to. If you want to, you could burn a spell slot. You're a warlock.
Yeah.
It's
I'll burn a spell slot.
Yeah,
I don't care.
instant. You create an unseen servant and set him to the task of holding the wheel and keeping it steady in the direction you tell him to go. Make for me a wisdom and a perception check.
Oh no. Okay. Oh no.
Okay.
Nice job.
I think the roles have now reversed themselves.
Oh, you jinxed me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you keep the ship on course very well. As now, since you're closer to the bow when you do the lookout, you make sure to keep a good eye, but you also realize, hey, this river's a lot it's a lot wider. Yeah, I don't think there's any chance of maybe hitting anything as you kind of keep going down the middle, avoiding maybe perhaps a rock that might have come up. But you are safe and fine, and you make up for the lost time that might have actually happened from the previous running aground from Rook, as well as a little bit of some of the skirting that's Smokey.
I thought you were going to say that because the perception is so bad that she accidentally drives the boat into a dragon who's in the middle of having a bath. Something like that.
No.
I'm sorry, sir.
No.
Don't mind.
It's a 10.
So-
It's average.
All right. So
Average dragon.
your shift of keeping the ship steady and secure runs fine, and you go to wake up Rook.
I will go wake up Rook.
All right.
Good luck, buddy.
I need you to cast that spell on me.
Wait, what spell? You're shit out of luck, man, because I missed all my spells.
You ain't getting nothing.
She technically did.
I did, yeah.
You know, fair enough. That was a joke anyway.
Well, actually, no.
Including
Technically, if you chose to cast them as a ritual 10 minutes prior to the ending of the first Unseen Servant, you wouldn't have burned a second or a third spell.
Yes, I do that because I am a good and smart warlock.
Yes, you
and
are.
I'm
You
proud
are
of
a
it.
super smart warlock.
I didn't
Super
need the DM to tell me how that happened.
So,
So what you're saying is you can cast Feign Death on me again.
I can't. Oh, I'm not doing that. No, I'm never doing that again, ever.
all
We
right.
learned our lesson.
So, with a little bit of banter, Rook, you take the helm. Go ahead and make a wisdom and a perception check for me.
Alrighty. In keeping with tradition, wisdom first, perception second.
Not bad at all. So, you keep the ship well within the middle of the river to avoid any chance of it running aground. And similar with Smokey, you keep an eye out, you feel quite safe and secure. You do notice that there are some things that do live in the river, and you can see that many of them are on the outsides of your vision, but they don't seem to bother you. You can see what appears to be small lumps and shapes that duck within the water and move from side to side, ripples in the river that don't match the current. You see some odd amphibious shapes, these creatures with very shiny skin and bug eyes that pop out and look at you and watch the boat move along, but they don't seem to pose a threat. They just seem curious.
Bug-eyed fish.
And you make your way down the river, keeping yourself on a little bit of edge just to make sure nothing surprises you in the party. But you all continue down, and you make your way towards the first stop on the river destination, River Run. Now, this is basically going to be the 3-day-ish period. It's going to be maybe about closer to 2 days. So by the end of the second day, you would have reached the city to a degree. So, at this time, you guys can do anything else you want. You have, a full day to do something. Valindra, are you continuing with the scroll?
Yes.
All right. Smokey, do you wish to copy anything to your spellbook?
Yeah, I'm going to copy Counterspell in 3 hours and use 75 gold's worth of materials.
All right. So you do that with ease, copying that without, any problem during the first day of the trip. Rook, I'm assuming you are continuing to stay to the helm?
Yep, that'll be good.
Works fine. Varkesh, did you want to do anything, or are you just kind of lazing on the river? Maybe fishing with a little rod?
With a wicker hat and a piece of
With a
straw.
little straw, yeah.
Huckleberry.
I'm Smokey. This would be a prime opportunity for you to stock up on papers and inks again.
Yes, it certainly would if I had money to pay for it.
Well, it would benefit us all. You're welcome to take some from me.
Oh, really? Okay.
I would rather come out the end of this alive, and we are going into what could very well be some serious combat, so yes.
Okay.
I need to go shopping too, so I'm going to scoop Smokey up. And I'm going to be like, come on, sweetie. Peck him on the forehead and go, let's go shopping. Off the boat. There we go.
Okay.
Is someone going to watch the boat?
I'll
I am
watch.
on the boat. I have it. We are fine.
Yeah, we'll watch the boat. Wait, do you guys have money?
I have money!
But seriously, does he have money?
You can ask me, I'm carrying you.
Isn't this where Sippy's Inn is?
Yes, this is where Sippy, the Golden Lily Inn is.
Where I got all my...
Say hi to Sippy for us.
I will. I'll be stopping in to get more napkins.
Pay for them.
No. Napkins.
So, you two are going to hop off once you reach River Run and head towards the Trader's Hall just to get some resupplying your paper and ink. All right. Valindra and Rook, you just babysit the boat, waiting for them to do what they need to do. It's not that hard for you guys. Smokey, as you move towards the Trader's Hall and Varkesh is with you, he can pay for it, but you are also informed, especially since this is the place where Lulu operated in the beginning, they have records of it, and they do keep a very good kind of account of not only the amount of funds that people have as credit, but also the adventuring parties and other things that have been spread throughout the 3 cities that operate with this kind of like Amazon for the world.
Speaking of which, how much do we have?
You do still have about at least 500 gold worth of credit to spend at any of the trader halls that exist, and they can get you pretty much whatever you need, either by having it in store or by quickly sending message and trying to get it from the nearby, not nearby, from the other main capital cities.
Okay.
So, Varkesh, in order for me to copy the spell you gave me into my book, I'm going to need about 200 more gold worth of ink and paper.
What's fucking paper made out of fucking golden ass camelback? What is this?
I mean, I wish I could do it for less, but I mean, it's not something that's in my specialty, so it costs a little bit more. It's a powerful spell. I mean, isn't it one of your most powerful abilities?
Yes! Ego stroking aside, though, but what are you fucking writing? An autobiography? My Cat, My 9 Lives by fucking Smokey Cloud?
Well, no, just animate objects. It's a
Fine.
powerful spell.
It's a powerful spell. 200 fucking gold. Best be damn well powerful. We'll say. Okay, I will. I'm sure our friends on the boat will not mind using 200 gold to resupply you with paper.
Thanks, Markesh.
You are most welcome.
You're the best blue.
It's catching on. This is great.
So
I hate that everyone is going along with this. Just for the record. I hate it.
Yay!
So, would you like to use your Traders Guild credit, or would you like to spend coin?
I will probably be shouted at if I use the credit, so I'm going to use the credit.
Okay. So, marking off the credit that the Traders Guild has kept in store for you for the jobs you've done previously, 200 is spent off and traded with a large amount of nice parchment and a good selection of ink that Smokey can easily use to copy more spells. But do you wish to get anything else?
Yes, I would like to... Ooh, I have a bag of holding here, and I have a really in-depth list, an organized one of what things of greatness I have stored within it. Oh shit, I didn't know I had that.
Well, I mean, unless you upturn the bag, you might not have remembered to have it in the first place, so there...
Oh, that's illegal in 17 countries. I have to get rid of this one.
God.
I would like to open my bag of holding, and I will very proudly slam down a golden candlestick, a golden earring, and a golden ring, each one costing 100 gold pieces, and say, I would like to trade these in for feely good, red, life, drinky things. Potions, that's it. I got there in the end.
Healing potions. Fair and
Yep.
easy enough. So you get the candelabra, which is 100 gold, you said, and the ring and...
Gold earrings and the gold ring. Each one of them is 100 gold piece. 100 gold each.
So 300 gold in total.
Yup.
So go ahead. I mean, if you want to just completely convert that into potions, it's down to you what kind you'd like. You can get the minor
Just the
ones.
basic.
Okay, so you can do a healing potion, which is 150, or a minor one, which is 50 each.
The minor one, 50 each.
All right, so then you can get a total of, I believe that's 6.
4.
Well,
I
I think it's 6, right? Yeah, 6.
How much do they cost?
50 gold each.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so you want to purchase 6?
I do.
All right. With the Traders Guild's connections, they are able to procure for you 6 minor healing potions that they slide across the counter for you to now use. Thank you for the follow, Luis Better.
Thank you. I love you, person whose name I can't pronounce because I can't
It was
say
in the 53, but yes. Anyways, so you now have 6 something, but you now have 6 health potions, along with
Okay,
your...
then there are 2 plus what?
Oh, 2d4 plus 4.
Aha, excellent. Oh, I love this organization. It's fantastic. I
But
know
yes.
exactly what I have.
So, you definitely have yourselves completely set in that department. Is there anything else you wanted?
I look to Smokey. Darling.
I know you're not moving in on my man right now.
I'm 8 foot
You
tall.
guys are a very affectionate group.
Yeah, I guess. Smokey,
But,
you got something there.
It's that animal magnetism.
It must be the way you strut. All those,
Meow.
all those Betty Davis eyes.
He's such a cool
But-
cat.
No, but I think I got everything I need, unless there's something that you want.
I got the healy drinky things. You got your really expensive fucking paper.
Well, it's like it'll give me a spell forever.
Oh, it's not forever. It's fucking better.
All right.
Would you like me to carry you again, sweetheart? Those little paws look really, really worn out, walking all of but 20 feet.
I mean, if you want to.
I will pick him up again and give him a quick peck on the forehead again. Go, let's go, darling. Back to the
Everyone
boat.
loves
Go.
Smokey.
Yep. Smokey, you do realize
Yeah,
that there
on tape.
there
They give
are
it to-
eyes that do watch you during this point, and rumor can spread faster than anything else in this world. So you do
Barkesh
see
has
whispers.
no shame.
And I mean, Varkesh is probably one of the few rare Dragonborn that has ever been seen by any adventuring individual. You yourself have only seen one, and that's been Varkesh, so yeah, you feel like the stories are
And
going to
I'm
spread.
the best.
So, you return back to the river?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I will put him in the boat, not in the river.
All right, Varkesh and Smokey, you return to see Valindra and Rook waiting for you. You once more board the steamboat Winnie as you kick off and continue down the way. All right, you guys continue down on the river bend, forgetting to say hi to Sippy, which is okay, but you are able to make your way all the way past River Run, following the bend. There's a large bend that continues down and around. You start to enter the wilds, areas that have not been really civilized for centuries. This place is filled with jungle and tree, foliage and animal that seem to infest not only the banks but further past the riverside, just kind of completely covering your vision. You only can see the river ahead of you as the clear path, as the rest of it becomes a dark barrier. As the night continues to grow darker, everything around you becomes just shadow and just an inky black. It's a bit more of a daunting kind of journey as you... yeah, but you do start to hear sounds, strange noises, animal-like, either grunts or snarls, mating calls maybe even. It's kind of hard to tell. Birds and other maybe reptilian things that lurk within the depths below. You do know this is the place and location where you did come across that one rather rambunctious toad-like creature that mistook your little rowboat for one of its own, trying to mate with it. Luckily for you, the steamboat is rather...
Son of a bitch.
It's rather bigger. It's bigger and longer, and in not quite the exact shape that the toads might mistake for one of their own. So
Steady. Phrasing.
You do feel like you'll be safe. Now, you continue to spend about a good 3 days again before you... Well, actually, this is 2 days. 2 days all the way down before you reach the fork that you know on the map that would lead up to Woodhull, as you now have to take the boat and turn to go that way. Now, you still have 2 days. Is there anything you guys wanted to do in those 2 days?
I would have used paper and 10 hours to copy animate objects into my spell book.
All right, you are successful in being able to copy the spell into your book. And the adamantine beads.
Valindra should be done too by now.
If she continues to do it, yeah.
So, see?
Yeah, I would keep working on the spell, and whenever it's done, I will roll it up, and I will hand it to Varkesh. This is Counterspell. You get one shot out of this. I don't think you have this spell.
I think it has to be someone who can naturally cast the spell in order for a scroll to work.
Is it?
Thank God there's a smart player. Yes, he needs to have this in his spell list as a class in order to cast it.
I'm just kidding. That was a joke.
Oh,
have a scone instead.
Meaning, horrible. You give
have
me...
2 scones instead.
Wait, you must think I'm some cheap harlot. I cannot be bought with mere scones. Only 5 mere scones will make me forgive you.
Since apparently Rook has all the scones, I will send him off to Rook for negotiation. And
How about 2 scones and some dried meat?
Deal!
I pass over the promised goods.
Right.
And I very gently hand over the scroll.
Yes.
I take the scroll and I pass it back over to Valindra.
Valindra, it should probably go to you because, I mean, you only have so much spell energy in a short amount of time.
Yeah, I know. It'll be nice to have. Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh,
All right.
I'm going to take out my glorious mirror. I'm going to take out my glorious mirror with the visage of myself, and then the other visage of myself, and I'm going to cast Scry. And I will say, mirror, mirror.
Whoa. 1 second. You need to spend 1,000 golds worth of value for that to work. You only spent 1,000 of silver.
I remember how much money I don't have, and I put the mirror away. Going, later. We'll do this later. Damn, I had a good activation phrase as well.
Oh?
We'll get there.
Yes. Oh, it was so good. It was going to be mirror, mirror in my hand. Is that twat close at hand?
Oh my god.
You rhymed hand with hand.
I know! I'm a dragon!
It's Varkesh. Why are you surprised? So,
I am not a bloody bard!
but yes.
It could be.
So, Valindra, you do have a scroll. You can give it to yourself or Smokey to
I have
use
it.
effectively.
I will tie a little bow on it and give it to myself.
All right.
And I will say, thank you, Belinda. You worked very hard on this, and I appreciate your efforts.
I tap her and go, did you have a bow to do that in the first place?
Yes, I had a bow to do that.
Is it string?
Is it a string?
Is it just string and you're pretending it's a ribbon or a bow?
You know what, Varkesh? I don't have a lot of fancy goods, so if you could just, give me this, I'd really appreciate that.
I back up. Okay.
Yeah.
The bow's only 15 feet long.
But yes, you do tie it up and have it secured and ready to use at any emergency if you run out of spell slots. You can always burn that. Now, as you are traveling, this is the point when you start to realize your fuel supply is running low. And as you have taken turns keeping an eye out, making sure to not run aground, it's not that hard once you got the hang of it, and when the river has widened. It is now, it's a very wide river at this point, so you're not really going to be likely to hit anything, so there's no checks needed. But you do need to go to the shore and get yourself some more wood, if you choose to use wood as your fuel source.
I think it'd be good for an emergency to have.
All right.
In case I'm busy and can't supply the fire.
Okay.
I will take the axe again, and when we run aground, I'm going to jump off the boat, walk up to the nearest tree, and go, "Hello, tree, got wood?" And then start hitting it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
All right, Varkesh, please make for me the accumulated checks of survival, athletics, and a constitution saving throw.
I feel like AJ's little to that was the best response that we could have gotten.
Right. Yep.
All right.
You do that. I don't know why, but you do. Survival and athletics. Ew.
Ooh, right.
Constipation saving throw.
That's not...
Ooh, okay. Not hard to find the right trees, but
Tree falls on.
you find that a majority of what becomes the problem for you isn't necessarily finding the tree. It's the fact that now when you actually try to swing, you start to bash into a few trees behind you. Every time you try to chop down, sometimes you don't have enough actual angle to get a good full swing, so it's more like a motion. And you just spend far more energy than
Turning
normal.
around, shouting at the other tree.
So-
Turn around, shout at the trees, going, "Wait your damn turn! I'm dealing with your sibling."
Jesus.
But you now have to spend a little bit more time and effort just to get close to the same amount that you had gotten last time. And you do take 1 point of exhaustion. And during this time, as you are beginning the whole chopping, gathering, and resupplying the ship, I need your other 3 allies to please make perception checks.
Oh, no! Oh, no!
You're going to give
I
me a
can't
point.
imagine where this could be going.
Before
Can I get an advantage for some reason?
For some
What were you
reason,
about to do?
I mean, I can think of
It's
no
not bad.
reason.
It's not
Can I
bad.
get an advantage because Winnie is helping me?
I mean, Winnie can't, but, I mean, sorry. Winnie could have, but Winnie didn't, so...
Hey, look, there's a bush. Let's beat around it.
So yes, Varkesh, you are focusing mostly on this, the gathering. Your allies are keeping an eye out. They have nothing
Thank
else
you.
to do at this time. However, Rook, you, with your 19, are able to see that as the boat is parked there, things do scout your boat's presence. You can see humanoid creatures that have occasionally either peeked their heads around bushes, popped them out of the river, and watched as they floated along with the current before dropping down. You notice that now, as Varkesh is beginning to slightly wrap up his task, there are more and more... Oh, thank you, Wall of Ceiling TP. You see more and more of these things starting to actually
a name.
accumulate. And they're beginning to slightly surround the boat. Very slightly.
We have some curious creatures surrounding our boat. We should probably get on board.
That is the most vaguest warning I've ever heard in my life. We have some things.
I will start walking towards the boat.
Oh, you're on the boat.
Yeah.
Oh, we're on the boat. Okay.
I assume I cast Mage Armor just at the beginning of the day, but I'll make sure it's still up.
Sure, yeah.
I
I would like to mimic the croaking of one of those toads to try to scare these things off.
Okay, go ahead and...
raping boat.
Thanks, Kyle. Go ahead and make a deception check, I believe, is what you do for your mimic.
Yep.
Okay, you make a very convincing, thunderous sound that comes from you, that echoes from the boat. They are familiar with this sound, and they do pause a little bit, giving you time maybe to do something, but they're just kind of leaning back a little bit, not sure where it came from, and they're kind of cautious. But Varkesh, you come back on the boat as suddenly Rook just kind of puffs up his feathery chest and just makes a large croaky frog roar, which you recall from the last time you were on the river was that creature that made that sound.
Why are you making the sound of that horrible boat-raping toad?
I just point at the encroaching creatures. Them.
Do they look malicious or just curious?
Make an insight check.
What do they look like? How about that?
Well, now that you kind of peek at them a little bit, you can tell that they look to be very slimy. Ooh. All right. These creatures that Valindra peers at along with the rest of you, you can see that they have what looks to be kind of like a catfish face, almost. The scales of their skin is more like a slimy, slick form that doesn't seem to have any texture to it. Large, bulging eyes that poke out on the sides of their heads, and you can see that as they bob up and down and look at you, some of them are armed with what appears to be primitive spears and bows and other types of weaponry that they might use. Valindra, you cautiously keep an eye out to see what they might be doing, and as you look, you listen, and you hear some of this weird gurgling sound that seems to kind of vibrate from some of them as they just talk to each other, and they seem to kind of spread out, and they look to be making a flanking position of sorts to try and maybe assault the craft.
It's a trap!
Basically.
Sorry, you said catfish.
Okay.
Bulgy eyes.
Yeah, you got some Akbars going on here.
What
This
did
is a
you guys-
crossover.
Yeah.
This is a crossover.
We should go now.
Should we attack them? They're starting to get in the way.
So, question for the DM.
Yes, as time is ticking, yes.
Sorry. Question for the DM. Okay, so I have Witch Bolt. If I cast Witch Bolt, because all of them are in water and it's wet, will that, spread to a number of them?
Just as much similar with an electric eel. Depending on the location of where you fire it, the electric energy might dissipate or it might not. It's up to you where you aim it and what you might think it could do. It's down to you if you want to try.
I would like to aim for the tightest cluster, and I'll zap the one that's in the middle.
Okay, you go ahead and make your attack with it. As you begin to do that, Varkesh, I'm assuming you're going to push the boat away from the shore?
Yes, I'll do all the manual labor.
Alright, getting the boat back onto the river's course. You shove it in and you start to haul yourself back on it before it drifts too far away. As you see Valindra getting ready as she zaps out.
Wait!
You do get on without incident, but go ahead, Valindra, roll for the attack. 12. So, you do this, but as you do, they seem to see this coming, and as you get it ready, they start to move away, and they spread out as far as they can, and you can see that as the witch bolt goes in, it doesn't hit a single target, but it does hit the water nearby, and some of the residual damage within the nearby, feet of it does kind of spread. So go ahead and roll a little bit of damage for me.
Just a little bit of damage.
Oh,
I just know
gosh.
Valindra and her track record when it comes to rolling damage dice. So, with that, wow, it's how many ones are in there? Oh, just one. Okay, you rolled a full 12 and a 1.
And a 2. A 1 and a 2.
1 and 2. Yes.
Can't have it all, Kayla.
So, as you blast this witch bolt into the water, you can see it kind of make a little bit of an arcing lightning kind of aura, a wave that just pulses out. Some of them getting caught a little bit from the backlash of it and taking a small amount of electric damage, but you can see that some of them just get caught in it and they actually just bob unconscious and float downstream with the rest of the water, but not all of them are taken back by it, and they start to gather up, and they see that the assault from you starts first, and they start to fire and throw spears at the party, trying to get past you and your defenses as you are continuing to sail down. The steamboat is faster than them, and it will eventually outgain, but at the moment, they're going to be throwing what appears to be a continuous array of spears and primitive rocks and other types of tools that they can just hurl at you. So, all of you are going to suddenly see this flying at you. I'm going to make the attack rolls for them. You guys can do anything if you want response.
Varkish is gonna stand there and question, why do we attack everything we see?
Considering there are 4 of you, they're gonna spread it. They're gonna spread their shots, so each one of you takes 2.
I'm taking the dodge action.
If I see these spears coming, I'm going to cast Animate Object on their own spears.
Okay. Holding your action and kind of utilizing it, you can do that once they let go of them. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, once they're about to hit us, I'm like,
Has
stop.
he learned the spell?
Thank you, Aku the Tyrant, and he has learned the spell. Yes, so you can do this. So,
Well, that's an awesome name. Sorry, what was that? The Tyrant?
yeah, as you hold the spell and get it ready, you begin to wait for the spears to be released. As you see them fly in the air, you catch some, and you cause them to pause, as you now have control over the spears themselves with your Animate Object ability. Now, of course, this is basically 2 for each. That's going to be a total of 8. So, yeah, you could catch all of them.
So I'm just doing like
Wait.
a whole Magneto thing.
Yep.
Where the bullets just stop, flip around, and just go right back at them.
He can only do 2.
Oh, how big do you think the spear is?
They're...
Spears to class just large weapons.
I wouldn't say
You can only
large.
animate.
And are
They-
these big creatures?
They're not. Yeah, they're closer to. They're maybe tiny or small. But if they're tiny, I'm sorry. If they're small, how many can you do for small?
You can do 10 small, but they're kind of like dagger small. If the next stage up is 2 large weapons, which would be 2-handers, and then you can do statues.
Small.
I knew it goes tiny, small, medium, large, and huge. So I know you can. That's why beads and daggers count as the tiny.
Small and tiny are the same one.
Oh, the same one. All right. Okay. So they would be small because these, by the way, these creatures are no bigger than 3 feet in their total height. So when they throw a spear, the spear is maybe about 2.5 feet long. So they're not immensely big.
Yeah.
They're pretty small. But
Like
I guess,
arrows.
yeah, they're a little longer than arrows. But you're able to catch them somewhat effectively, at least I'd say. But yes, you're able to stop them.
Dilly dilly.
And you can now hurl them if you like. Thank you, Otherworld Expo.
What's happening? Why are so many people liking us today? This is great.
It's a great thing. I don't question it. But yes, okay, so you take these spears, you catch them in midair, and you see them stop just as they would maybe have hit you or Rook, as Rook starts to tumble and dodge out the way. But instead, they suspend themselves. You flip them around, and you fire them back.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead and make the 8 rolls, because there's only 8 of them.
2
Oh,
natural
wait.
threes. Nice.
We'll
Alright,
get rid of the last.
We got rid of the last 2. So the 6 plus 8.
Yep.
All right, that's fine. That's going to hit them.
Wait, say catchphrase.
Catchphrase?
You know animate objects now. You have to say a catchphrase like "return to sender" and just throw it back. Something. You gotta do something.
Yeah.
Like time for you to be a pincushion and just nail them back.
Why do every sayings have to be in an Arnie accent?
I don't know why I deferred to that.
Because he's the greatest.
So as Barkesh yells this at Smokey, Smokey just like freezes. This is his first time casting this spell. Like, pew pew.
It's good.
Pew, pew.
We'll work on it. We will work on it.
Oh my god, he's so cute!
With the return of a pew
Pew,
pew, you send out your animated spears, hitting all of them. They don't have that high of an AC, and you're able to embed 2 of them completely skewering through their heads, just right through their mouths as they kind of get stuck in on the other side.
Oh.
The other fish folk just seem to also get impaled by their
Smokey,
own
what have you
weapons,
done?
and they just drift on the water, floating down as corpses as they continue to go down the way, and you see the steamboat moving without any interruptions from them. However, I need all of you to make a perception check.
Oh dear.
I'm just gonna, take a step back from Smokey. Oh, I get 5.
Jeez.
Ooh. Well.
It's back,
I'm so
guys.
much in awe, and so impressed.
What the fuck?
I'm just like,
However, I have not been moving, so it's technically a 29.
Well, you were tumbling and rolling. This is kind of like in the
Nice.
midst of combat, sadly. This is not like a pause and breather. This is as this is happening. But you do...
Specifically states I have to move over half of my movement speed.
Okay, alright, that's fine. But yeah, so basically what's happening is that as you catch the spears and kind of bring them up from the dead bodies, you still hold the concentration of the spell. You start to just pull them out. Varkesh and and Rook, you begin to see that as you look behind you, watching the corpses kind of drift and the spears come up, something else catches your eye. And as you look at the water, you see a very familiar pair of glowing yellow eyes with a spiked kind of brown brow that seems to be swaying and following the boat, attracted to something, as perhaps some mating call sound might have been made earlier and seems to have lured a creature towards the boat.
I just go over Striker Rook. You're gonna get my boat raped again.
It seemed like a good way to get to leave us alone.
Dilly.
Why don't you row the engine already?
Thank you, Cola T Games. Cola T Games. But yes, so you now see the very familiar frog that had once assailed your party before, trying to mate with your other watercraft. It looks and sees that this is probably a very big buddy, either boy or girl, you don't know, but it seems to be very interested in this, and it's starting to make its way towards you. If you want to, you can try to increase the engines if you wanted to. You can pedal the water too if you want.
I'm just like over the side going, not today, you motherfucker.
Okay, as Varkesh begins the...
What the hell is that?
I'm gonna put my tail in the water and do a Muttley from, wacky races and just spin my tail.
Less talking, more speeding.
Okay. And I'll use burning hands on the boiler to heat it up faster.
Oh, okay, alright. Increasing the pressure, you just make the entire thing become red hot, as now the steam just kind of pushes a lot of pressure, and you can now
This is
see...
how it works, right?
You get the sense that as it happens, it does kind of crank in, but it's not necessarily that. Varkesh, you do know how to make the boat go a little faster.
Do I?
Yes, you with your natural 21.
Because I'm just looking at this toad.
You have to set in another gear.
This toad and this toad.
You have to pull a lever, and another gear comes into its place, and as it does, it kind of acts as an additional pulling motion that makes it go faster. So you have to pull the lever.
I shall do that. And while I pull this lever to put it into gear, I'm just imagining this toad breaching the water, going, "You got a pretty exhaust pipe," and just
My God.
No, not today. My boat will be untouched and unsullied.
You do have with the increased steam and then unloading, unlocking the next mechanism to cause the wheel to begin to spin a little faster. With Rook paddling on the side, Valinder maybe also helping, and you also returning to the paddling motion. You begin to increase your speed, picking it up as you move down the river as fast as you can, as you see the toad trying to keep pace and still making out a very familiar seeming to try and allure the boat back to it, maybe perhaps for a bit of, fondling and some whoopee, but...
Should I attack it?
Thank you,
I'm just
Major
gonna
Lax.
cast silence on the toad just because he's grossing me out. Just silence.
Okay,
He's just gonna swim out the bubble.
He does swim out the bubble eventually, but at least one croak is stopped as you hear him just going... And instead of it continuing on, it just breaks for a moment before he pops out of the bubble and just goes again.
Damn
it!
I'm just petting the keel of my boat, going, "I won't let him touch you."
On its maiden voyage, preventing it from being potentially pounced by this creature, you do get enough speed and distance from it that it eventually loses interest as you push past its line of sight, and it is no longer pursuing the boat.
I kiss the deck.
On this maiden voyage, we allowed the ship to the maidenhood.
Oh, God.
You are not going to be sullied by an amphibian today.
Yes, as you are successful in avoiding another fight with a very familiar thunder frog. So, You continue down the river, making your way to the familiar fork that you were supposed to look out for that leads upriver towards Woodhall. You turn the boat, and it makes its way with a hard right as you go up against the stream. You begin to feel that as you have the engine kicked into the second gear, because that was mainly for the use of going upriver to keep the speed consistent while you were doing like a passive paddle for downriver. Now you pull it into full gear, and you suddenly have it going as hard as it can against the stream as it progressively makes its way, a little slower than before, up the river. Yep.
Did we just Tokyo drift a riverboat?
You didn't need to Tokyo drift.
We just Tokyo drifted river.
I mean, it's...
I mean, it's the slowest Tokyo drift on the planet, but that's the, yeah.
I mean, it is the way as boats turn.
There is no winning balance.
There is no end to my talents. I'm going to put nitros canisters in this boiler. Oh
no!
Very
Deja vu.
Very similar to most boats. Whenever they turn, the rear does make the swing. So when you kind of do that, it's a large arc, but you do reposition it and make it go up towards Woodhall, making the rest of the journey an uphill battle. Now, you are spending about another 2 days. This is the last part of the week, because you went 2, 3, and 2. Now, at this time, the woods around you are still dense, but you begin to see that now the terrain changes a little bit to becoming more broken and uneven. Less of it being like a nice flat valley, you start to return to some of the foothill areas that were close to the mountains before, that you found this previous base at, when you were uncovering a plot when they were abducting farmers. As you find yourself getting closer to Woodhall, more of the stream begins to narrow down, and it becomes a little bit more of a task to make sure not to accidentally run aground again. So whoever's at the helm does need to make this one last survival check. Who is it going to be?
Dilly dilly.
Oh, thank you, what the
We're getting
Eternal.
so much love today.
Exwa the Eternal. 2s. But yes. Who's making it?
Don't ruin that.
I'd say Varkash is his vote.
Varkash?
Yeah. Do it, Varkash.
Huh? Good. No, I'm going out on a win today. Mm-mm.
I mean, someone's got to steer the boat right now, otherwise you guys are just gonna...
Okay.
Very well.
Can I,
Help?
stay at the front of the boat and help?
Yes, you can. You can absolutely assist in this.
I would like to assist, please.
Okay, Varkash, you can make this with advantage.
What am I making with advantage?
A wisdom check.
Against
I
you,
can do that because I'm a cleric and wisdom's my thing. Damn right it is.
All right.
Noise.
With the help of Valindra, you're able to make it with no problem at all, following the slow, tighter bends of this river as it makes its way past these larger growing rises of earth to the side as you become, ever closer to the penetrating foothills, as you finally see in the distance what appears to be smoke rising up on the horizon. You eventually then get to see, as you turn the bend, what looks to be a small secluded town. You notice that this one is actually completely surrounded by what looks to be a very sophisticated form of palisades. The wood going about maybe, could be anywhere from 12 to 15 feet tall, and you can see that as it surrounds the area, it does seem to be segmented in certain places, as buildings are positioned in very advantageous places. But this little circle town is still surrounded by fields that look to have other pieces of primitive crops growing here. You can see some grains, maybe some vegetables, all these different likes. Very familiar scene, similar to Alniel. Scarecrows popping out from time to time, and a few birds who seem to be pecking at it, and farmers trying to shoo them away. Nothing necessarily a little off yet, but as you finally get the point of the riverbank to come right up next to the town's basically perimeter, you park the boat on the side, a few eyes peering out from the fields to see your arrival, and a few going to the town to maybe perhaps notify of visitors arriving on a very strange craft. Thank you, by the way, Dookie Pie Walker MG. So, you find that you are now here at the very edge of Woodhall. The surrounding area does seem to be more wooded and a little bit denser, but the trees are different in nature. Actually, for all of you, please make a nature check for me.
Ooh.
Have I been here before?
Yes. So, well, yes. So you could make it with advantage, I suppose.
Okay.
Have I been here before?
You have not.
I didn't think so. I just
That's
had
fine.
to ask.
All right, so Varkesh and Valindra, both of you, and Smokey a little bit too, both of you recognize that some of the trees that are growing here are not only more ancient, they seem to have not only the age of just being here for centuries, but there's also an unnatural kind of look to them. Some of the branches in the nearby woods twist the wrong way. Roots upend and bend in the wrong direction. You can see that any time that you look through this dense wood just on the edge of Woodhall's defense line, that there's something just warped about it, as if someone had maybe taken things and turned them the wrong way, or made these intricate, either what you could see as like kind of almost like a fencing, similar to how when you make a wicker fence, someone has used the trees to make these barricades to stop anyone from easily accessing either the base of the tree themselves or to even enter the forest. It's this very odd kind of, almost like these two different cultures on edge with each other, living in this kind of state of alert. One completely blocked off with rigidity and structure and cleanly form, the other one a mass of chaos and thorns and twisted roots and gnarly branches. It's a very weird contrast as you look between the two of them. So you can see that there's something off about the pair. But as you all...
There's something off.
But as you all secure yourselves onto the riverbank and disembark, tying it down, making sure that the boat doesn't float away, you can easily tie a rope around a nearby rock to make sure it just doesn't go anywhere. You are eventually greeted by what appears to be a few people coming from the town to inspect you. Some of them keeping a distance, making sure they just don't get too close to strangers. They seem to be wary of anyone who's new or different. However, a few of them do kind of perk up a little bit as they recognize one of your party members. And they do seem to be a little bit more relaxed. And as they kind of give a bit more of a warm vibe, you do see a few individuals coming towards you that seem to be armed. Very primitive militiamen, but you can tell that they have seen at least some form of conflict or battle, as they have some weathered armor and a seasoned look to them that know how to handle the roughs and toughs that come out on the frontier. But you can see that they approach, and as they do, they all stop for a second, and you see them kind of smile a little bit as they all do a waving motion, and you notice that as you all turn to look, they're waving at Varkesh. Thank you, Sony Jack, Janico01, for the follow. But yes, they seem to be
waving at me?
They're waving at you, and they seem to be waving and greeting from a distance as they approach.
Right, lads.
All right, as you do that and repeat, they do seem to just go like,
It's you.
He goes, well, blimey, I didn't think I'd ever see you again. Look at you. It's Varkesh. Nice to see you again. And they kind of bring out their hands to shake yours. Each of them happy to take a chance to maybe greet you again.
Okay, I forgot how they speak here. You're right, me old cocker. How you doing?
Oh, not too fine. Mrs. just had a few kids recently, so now we have a bit of family going on. And you see another one going, hey, I remember you. You're one of the ones who came around arming us last time. It's good to see ya. And you see him clasping your arm with that locked embrace.
So it worked then.
Oh, you got it right. It worked. It works splendidly. And who are these fine folk you have here?
Allow me to introduce, and I just pull Rook forward. It's like, this is Rook. He is a bird man. It's very nice. Don't trust him around shiny things, though. And this one, this cat fella right here, and I'm just like, inadvertently not realizing that I'm kind of like massaging his scalp. I'm like, this here, Smokey. He's a cat man, rather soft. And I'm sorry, Smokey, I didn't mean to molest you like that. And this is Valindra. She's the leader of the group and the most aggressive.
I'm sorry, that's not true. I'm not the leader, and I'm also not aggressive, only to Varkesh.
Sorry,
Dilly
I meant
dilly.
passive aggressive.
They all do a very similar version of greeting to you. Thank you, by the way, 53 Centius03, as they each agree and nod to each other as they kind of take what Varkesh is telling them as somewhat gospel truth, as they nod and greet and say, how do you do, welcome to Woodhall. Many of them just very happy to see a familiar and friendly face, but they do seem to be enjoying a bit of catch-up as they kind of escort you a little bit, kind of like this walk with us sort of thing as you make your way towards the town. Each of them just kind of passing rumor and talking about some history that had been going on since he was last here. You three begin to learn that Varkesh, not only was he someone who had visited Woodhall before, but he was responsible for arming many of the citizenry that are here. During the time when any of the people who have moved from the capital cities of Alniel, Bylak, or Trilak, they would make their way to the frontier areas, and they would try to make settlements. But a lot of the times, any time you would try to attempt to build up a new town, they're met with either opposition from other factions or creatures that exist in the wilds around them. So many of them had to fight and fend for their lives. And a lot of the times, they only could use what was maybe at hand, what they brought with them, or whatever primitive tool they might be able to just craft on the offhand. So a lot of the times, if anything broke, or...
This is part of my backstory. Slow down, I can't write all this down.
Oh, you already know this stuff. You already know it.
I know a little bit of what I did at the very, very beginning of the campaign. Now you're giving me this whole I'm an arms dealer of the poor thing.
Yes, yeah.
And
You
I
know
was
you've
like,
been that. You know you've been that. So, they are...
Fucking Nicolas Caging this mother. Jesus.
They are very grateful to him because Varkesh was not only someone who came with blacksmithing skills to be able to craft, but also repair and create a multitude of not only farmers' tools and weaponry, but also armor and other essentials needed to survive in this harsher area. That allowed Woodhall to become a bit more established and grounded when it came to some of the frontier forts. This one actually is notoriously known for wood and bringing down lumber, as you notice and can see that as you get closer, you can see a working of lumber mills and other different types of factories and establishments that are in charge of not only taking whatever trees are nearby, but also turning them into planks or specific types of either shapes or pieces. Thank you, King Shaw 11 Thinkle. But yes, you all are able to see them
Hesitated at the end of it.
They have a multitude of carpenters as well as other craftsmen that take some of the wood and actually form it into pieces or parts that are used for a multitude of things, to build houses, furniture, anything that you can think of that wood would be used for is pretty much made here at the heart of Woodhall and is taken down the river. And usually you can see from the maps that you have looked at before, they bring it to Trade Up Town, and Trade Up Town typically will then bring it over to River Run. So for the most part, you understand the operations of Woodhall. It's not too much of a surprise when you actually see it for the first time. But as you do walk in and you kind of take in the surroundings, I need everyone to make a perception check. Varkesh, you do get advantage on this because you are basing this look on a previous time you were here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, 24, 23, 20, and... Alright. So, Valindra, I mean, you just are just looking around, not really noticing any of the finer details, but the rest of your party, you're able to tell that Woodhall does seem to have a bit of a different, almost kind of like an undertone vibe to it that seems to have a bit more of a gloom set upon it. Some of the people moving around seem to have just less of a smirk or a smile. Some of them seem to maybe look down at the ground. A few of them look to be either maybe malnourished or seem to have something that's just been plaguing them for the time. You don't know what, but there is a sense that the tone of the town is mellow and melancholy. You might have to find out why, but at the moment you can tell that there's something wrong. But you make your way towards what appears to be the largest house in the Woodhall center. It looks to be like a home, a manor home, but you can see that it's somewhat divided and segregated a little bit to kind of almost act like similar to a church, a parish that has a place for a residence on the side and a larger kind of hall that seems to be stationed more towards the middle. As you go in through there, they seem to take you through what appears to be some nicely polished wood hallways and stairs, taking you to what appears to be an office. And as you enter inside, you can see an individual currently parked in a chair, leaning forward and seems to be looking again, a little bit more melancholy, down at some papers and looks to be analyzing a few things. As the eyes look up, you can see that there are bags under them. This individual is tired, very worn, and you can see gray hairs poking throughout their hair. A human, an old man, maybe in about his 50s or so, from just appearance alone. Varkesh, you recognize this individual. Last time you saw him, it wasn't that long ago, but he was more youthful.
Dilly dilly.
He now looks to be a man who has seen too many years in too few time. And this, you recognize this man. This man is Major Maddock. He was also known as the Mad Maddock. Yeah, his name is Major Maddock, but he was also known as the Mad Maddock.
Wow. Doesn't sound awfully familiar, does it there, Andrew?
To whom?
Oh, in another campaign that you're playing, a certain pirate.
Oh, right, I forgot. Yeah.
The exact same phrasing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was Maddock, wasn't it?
Captain Maddock. No,
yeah.
It was Maddock.
It was Maddock?
So, copyright strike.
Well, things happen. There's only so many names in the world, and hey, Johns are Johns, and Janes are Janes. But yes.
Maddock is quite specific.
You should feel honored. You inspired.
It's fine.
Yeah.
No, it's...
So, but
you
do recognize this individual. He was specifically known for being very vigorous, and sometimes you would call him mad on the field because he would rush in and do as much as he could whenever something would assail the village. He was the first in the fray and the last out. So most people saw him kind of like dripped in blood sometimes if he was going against creatures and other monstrosities that would assail the village. But now he looks to be worn and broken. But as he looks up at you, he's a bit more of alive as you see him recognizing you. But he does kind of stand up a little bit and goes,
Hello.
Oh, Varkesh. Oh, I've not seen you in... Fuck. I can't remember how long it's been. It's good to see you. He kind of cracks a little bit as he gets up and he slowly walks.
You look like shit.
I feel like shit. But he just still holds your hand as firm as he can.
Looks like it too.
I see. You have some friends here. It's nice to meet you.
Dilly dilly.
My name is Major Maddock. It is a pleasure. Might I ask, why are you here? Thank you for the follow.
I will bequeath the questioning to my compatriots, which are everyone else but me.
Well, that's interesting because we're here primarily for you, Varkesh.
I mean, I'm still kind of taking in the whole, I've been here before, and now there's people who shared names of other characters in my campaign.
Well, you see, as perhaps a continuation of Varkesh's past deeds, we are here to attempt to root out some evil and perhaps protect some of you fine townsfolk. I can't help but notice some of you are looking rather down. Is something the matter in the area?
He kind of smiles. You noticed? It's no surprise. He just goes back to his chair slowly to kind of sit down. Oh, yes. There has been some reports of people being plagued with ailments, crops going sour, but there's something going around Woodhall. We don't know what it is, but we'll get by. It's nothing to concern yourself with. I'm surprised you even heard about it. It's only been going on for a week. Excuse me.
News travels fast.
Surprising. So, if you come to look over this, what can we do to help you? Do you need provisions? Where are you looking to find this cause?
Well, first of all, the first thing, as I, Varkesh the Best Blue, would ask of you is to eat 5 fruits and vegetables a day.
Dilly dilly.
That will make you feel better.
Thank you, G. Wapago Corazia. He does seem to kind of look at you for a moment, just goes, I see humor isn't lost on you. No.
I wasn't being funny, I was being deadly serious.
Well, you know we only have what we can grow ourselves, not necessarily the finest of selections.
Well, I made you all the sharp things. So the thing
Tools and weapons are good for fighting, but they're not so good at creating a variety of vegetation that will take root here. Only some of the hardiest things actually grow in Woodhall. Still...
Perhaps more to the point, something we could act on. Is there an area that has been more stricken by this illness or crop problems than others?
It's no one spot necessarily. Woodhall has a variety of folk who have been plagued by this. Some of the farmers have seen their crops just turn to dust. Some of the cattle have become so inebriated they barely stand. And a few of the children have gone...
Inebriated?
They've gone... You see him kind of looking down a little bit.
The cow's gone to the ale again?
Sorry. They do look to be malnutrition, but as he looks down, you can see that he looks a bit more insightful, or a bit more saddened as he mentions children.
Not little Timmy.
What are the symptoms of this illness or whatever, aside from just some ennui?
There's a variety of different afflictions that go throughout the town. Some have reported feeling older and aches where they shouldn't. Others find themselves incapable of stopping themselves from gorging on anything they can fill their stomachs with. Even leaves and twigs they'll throw inside themselves just to satisfy their hungers. Others tend to be worn down so much they can barely stay awake, while a few in the town have been so plagued with ill thoughts and dreams they hear voices. They seem to find no rest when they sleep. Thank you, by the way.
I see. And have you had any new folks coming around in the past week or month or anywhere around that amount of time?
The newest folks we have are you fine folks, yeah. And I wouldn't really enjoy your company if it weren't for Varkesh, whose reputation precedes.
How? It does what? How did it proceed?
Well, he basically just said that he wouldn't have enjoyed seeing new faces, but because of your reputation preceding, it was...
Oh, I see.
I see.
Is there anything unusual that happened before everyone started getting sick? Any type of storm or natural anomaly?
There were no accounts of storms or magical forces. There's not been nothing that we've seen.
I mean, did you cut down a new area of forest? Did you uncover something?
No, nothing so wild or bizarre. We've just gathered the normal wood from the nearby trees over. Just he points off into a general direction towards Ravenwood nearby, but there hasn't been anything nefarious that came from the woods, more so than its own natural appearance.
Of course, and perhaps any rumors, substantiated or otherwise.
There's rumors that go around that someone's plagued the well water. Some say that perhaps there's just a plague that's infested itself in our town, but there's no concrete proof of anything that we can identify as the cause.
Definitely have a problem if you're aging beyond your time and people are eating twigs. I mean, vegans do strange things, but eating twigs is a bit too far.
The only saddened thing that we have is, as we are plagued with these odd ailments, the children are the ones who do not survive it as well as we do. We've lost a few to this plague.
Ah, well that will not do. How many's a few? Not the children.
There's been at least 4 deaths since the last week.
Ah.
Dilly.
Rakesh, can you...
Thank you, faithful man Gov.
Heal him?
I mean, the dead children, I would love to, but my abilities would...
Not the children. Mr. Maddock here. I mean, I'm sure you won't be able to cure everyone in town, but I don't know. Is it something you can cure?
I'm going to just reach out to Maddock, and I'm just going to grab his beard, and I'm just going to pull him close, like inspect him.
Hello.
You've seen me do this before. This is, accept this.
I'm not kissing you like last time.
That was your mistake. You gave me mixed signals. Just like tilt his head. Is he cursed?
Make a religion check.
I know Varkish is a plague upon the world, but it's
Make a religion check.
a religion check. I shall do so presently.
Okay.
17.
So, understanding sometimes that there might be more than just the natural ailments that might afflict a town, you start to look for more magical means, something that might be more nefarious at work, from fiends, fae, or other like. You analyze him closely, and taking a few pieces from what you do know and from some divine inspiration, you do get the sense that there might be something that could be magical in a nature to maybe a fiend that could perhaps be responsible for what might be plaguing the town.
I believe he is suffering from hoodoo voodoo, which in the business means horrible magic. Yep, horrible magic.
Who was the first person to get sick?
He looks down for a moment as you see him kind of... Could you let go?
Nope.
No, Varkish, you should probably let go.
I need to read my papers.
I just pull his beard down so he's not down to his papers. It's like, there you go.
You see the sense he can't fight this, so he just, with a weird, awkward like motion, reaches with his hand, trying to grab some papers to pull and bring to his face to look and read. He eventually looks down. Annie. Little Annie was the first to be, well, plagued by this, and she passed.
No more musicals for little Annie.
Damn it. Okay, do you think perhaps we could speak to Annie's family? See if they might have known where she could have possibly picked this up from?
You could try, though. I think her mother has been... I think she's been locked in her home for the past week. I haven't seen her out. You can inquire. Her name is Isabel. She's in the house just about 2 streets down. You can't miss it. Dark, black curtains across the window.
Has he got old man hair growing out of his ears?
No, he doesn't have that yet.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue holding his beard, and I'm just going to pull as much hair out as possible. And go, curse be gone!
As you do that, he's just like, ow! Stop that! Let go! Let go! As he puts your hand...
My hand on his head like a preacher, like, be gone! Curse be gone!
Oh, you try remove curse?
Yeah.
Okay, so you cast it as you hold your symbol in one hand and begin to then present a kind of a wash of holy energy inside him. He kind of sucks in a breath for the moment as it's like a cold wash of water that goes through him, and he kind of takes it in.
Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly.
And his eyes
just
blink for a moment. Thank you, by the way, Gastonic one. But yes.
No one's biggest Gaston, no one's...
It's fine. But you do see that the remove curse, though it does kind of purge the body, it doesn't seem to remove what is ailing him.
Does he at least feel better?
It looks kind of like a very weird version of someone having like a shiver put down them, so it's kind of like a weird sensation, but he doesn't look better or feel better. It's just kind of, he felt it.
He probably feels worse because you yanked out half his beard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's now got 2 beards, as there's the missing part in the middle now. So it's kind of like a cool trend. I'm starting trends.
But he does eventually try to push your hand away, and he just kind of looks at you and goes, look, Just no more funny business. If you're going to do anything, just be serious about it and do what you can. Leave me to my
I was
work.
being serious.
Just go. Do what you gotta do. You came here. You apparently heard word. You know what you want to do. Just do what you do.
Yes. I'm sorry about the beard. Looks good, though. Kind of got like the whole tie you to the railway tracks kind of look.
I'm like trying to usher Varkesh out the door.
Okay.
Like,
It was nice meeting you!
Again. But yes, eventually coaxing the large blue dragonborn outside of this town hall center, you do return to the streets of Woodhall.
I am a menace to society.
Okay.
That's an understatement.
So we have an address to the first person who got the symptoms, and apparently the mom is still alive. I think that's a good place to start as any.
Well, we also do have a map to the last known location of their stronghold, too.
This is true.
That is also an avenue we could take, is just go and see if we can find it directly, and perhaps see if that is what's causing this problem.
I think it'd be maybe better to get as much information as possible before going into a stronghold, though.
Is it a stronghold? Do we know it's a stronghold?
You don't know if it is a stronghold or a base, but if it's something similar to what you had previously seen before, you assume it's maybe something like that. A network of rooms and corridors hidden somewhere.
Fair play. Alright. I'm going to default to what the group wants to do. Wants to do.
where does the map say the stronghold is?
Right?
It shows it to be just around what you can tell. I'll draw on the map real quick for you. It's just inside the woods, around there.
He had mentioned that's where they've been picking up wood, too.
It might be worth talking to the mother, just to sort of, see if she has anything that might be helpful.
Dilly dilly.
I believe a feminine touch is called for this. So
thank
I nominate Smokey.
Thank you, J House Play. And yeah, Connor, you're teeny quiet, just a teeny quiet.
I actually can't hear you right now at all.
That's what I was figuring. How about now?
There you are. I can
A
hear
little
you.
better, but you're still the softest of the bunch. But that's okay. But yes, so what do you wish to do?
We're going to Isabel's.
All right.
And I'm going to look at Varkesh before we even get remotely close to the house or knock on the door or anything. And I'm just going
Shout at me. She's gonna shout at me.
point at him.
No, not the pointy finger.
Varkesh, this is a very delicate and sensitive situation we're about to walk into. Don't say anything that could be remotely taken as offensive. Just probably best to not say anything.
You are really cute when you are judgmental.
So this is not what this is about right now. Stop
Okay.
it.
Okay.
No.
Uh-huh.
It's that kind of bullshit that we're not gonna do, okay?
I said someone else needs to talk to her.
I know.
If
I'm saying don't say anything.
If you can make it through this entire encounter without making anybody cry or saying something that Valendria would take as offensive,
I
I will give you a reward.
What kind of reward?
Well, I do have all this dried meat and scones just burning a hole in my back.
I mean, you could say that you have food. You don't have to say it like you're kind of offering sex while doing it. I mean, flattered as I am, but I think I'll break your hips.
Oh my god.
You think what?
Varkesh.
I think I might just break your hips. I am very large. I am called the best blue for a reason.
No, that
I am pretty resilient, you'll find, and also it is not on the table to
That's
begin
what the
with.
last
Dilly dilly.
said.
Dilly dilly.
Yes.
Now they all.
Now that it's definitely not on the table, you could be crawling with diseases.
Thank you, Fahrenheit 450. Or, well, W50. But yeah. So you guys make your way to Isabel's
But I
house.
will look to Valindra. Yes, and along the way, I will relent, and I will take a step back and allow a much softer, gentler approach to take precedence.
Okay. So you go towards Isabel's house, and you walk up to it. You can see that it is what he described it, a rather plain-looking wooden home with black curtains that are drawn across the window. You go up to there, Valindra taking the lead. Yes, Valinda?
Ooh, actually, I'm not super great with families, so Smokey and Rook, this might be more your area of expertise.
I can, if you guys want me to.
Yes, please.
But he hates a cat,
Okay.
unless they're a dog family.
I will walk up to the front door and just give a little knock.
All right. You knock on the front door. As you do, it's a knock, knock. The door doesn't have a lock to it. It just pushes in, and as you open the door inside, you get a very terrible waft of death and decay. And as you look inside, you can see the silhouette of a female figure in the center hall, a rope tied around her neck as it raises up to the ceiling to droop around. And that is where we're going to take a break for our little players to take a moment to use the bathroom, get drinks or anything, as you stare upon the hanging corpse of Isabel. So, as they go and do that, I will quickly look at the chats, because I had to close the chat because there was so much of it, my computer was just going and lagging bad, so I was like, crap. But yes, his innocence is now gone, as you now have uncovered the remains of the sad and now obviously dead Isabel.
Oh my god, no!
Okay. Well,
I'm gonna go get water.
Okay, good. Go ahead. You guys get your water and everything. I'll be saying hi to the chat. Thank you all, by the way, for this sudden surge of arrivals. I really am grateful for you guys coming in, and I hope you like everything so far, because they are only just on the edge of touching what is to come from Woodhall, so they still have some crazy shit in store for them. I look forward to seeing how they handle it. But yes.
It's gonna be a party, man.
But yes.
We would just want to break Scott.
Yes, we just... Well,
Dilly dilly.
Thank you, Trocor before. There's some fun names here. Some of them are really hard to pronounce, though.
No,
yes.
that's just you.
Oh, yes, just me. None of these weird spellings and mixing of words. But yes, so, for all of you who have joined us and have basically just begun to see what Ages Past has in store for players, if you have any questions or anything that you would like to have clarified, now's a great time to ask, for I am currently still stationing myself here with my lovely player here, Scott, in case you wanted to, get a better understanding, or if
Rook
you
is
were
here
curious.
too.
Well, no, he quickly went to do his own little bathroom.
He did a rogue. He rolled a nat 20 to the bathroom.
Yes, he flicked out the light first to do it, but yes.
Advantage to stuff check.
Yeah. Who needs a hood when you have that?
But yes, welcome to Ages Past. I am Varkesh, and I am the best blue. People know me as the idiot from across the sea that ruins everyone's fun by making complete and tit-ass mockery of everything that goes on, but I try my best.
Yeah, and if you are curious as to where the best blue has come from, that is in a previous episode of a title slightly made by Varkesh himself.
Yeah.
No, completely made by Varkesh.
And
it works, and it is, and people say it.
And it is spreading like wildfire.
The best blue.
Much to my chagrin.
You're just jealous.
I'm not jealous, no.
You are jelly. You are so jelly. It's unbelievable.
I'm not jealous.
You are jelly.
Nope, I'm just...
I could see it. I could see
Varkesh would do much better if he were to be taken down a few notches.
That's impossible.
It would take a lot to
But
knock
that
him
is
down, but
that
yeah.
is Valinda's goal.
You're gonna. Oh, I see. So you're gonna shatter his confidence, make him a shadow of his former glorious self, are you?
Yeah, I like breaking characters.
And you do know that the best way to break Varkesh is his weakness, which Spaz reminds us is Zone of Truth for Varkesh.
Yes. Hey, Spaz!
I mean, that's just awkward. It doesn't break him. It's just awkward.
Dilly dilly.
I mean, awkward is very close to maybe breaking Smokey. I'm impressed at how well Smokey is handling a lot of these sexual innuendos. Thank you, not per 6.
I don't know if Smokey understands all of the sexual innuendos.
Always ask.
I don't want to be like, did you get it? Did you get it?
I mean, he has a somewhat high intelligence. I'd hope he'd get most of it.
There's intellectual versus street and social intelligence, though.
Yes. And true enough, maybe perhaps his native tongue of whatever it is that he chooses to speak might not necessarily translate so well when it comes to the slight, meanings of words and sayings when it comes to the colloquialisms for each one.
Hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear.
Oh my god, no. No. Just no.
The answer.
I was the forked tongue that made Eve take from the apple tree.
Let's see. Kayla can be evil when it comes to breaking character.
The safe word is
Doesn't know what he's talking
tangerine.
about.
Safe word is tangerine.
Yes. But yes, once, of course, Rook comes back from his break, we shall continue on. But yeah.
I'm wondering if I should switch microphones. Is it?
What does the different microphone sound like?
It's the green one with the headset.
You can run and grab it real quick, and we can do a test. Well, Cody's gone.
He's just not back.
Just kidding.
It's fine.
That's fine.
Cody, go away!
Just gonna swallow my mic.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just, either shove it down in there or just speak really loudly. Either one works.
Yeah, I'll make it work.
All right, good. That's the right way to do it.
You just had to go there, didn't you?
I always go
Make
there.
it work.
But yes, so, as we have our players back and ready to go, we shall continue as the players open the door and see the corpse of Isabel, who has hung herself in her home, leaning there against the rails of what appears to be just this creaking, empty shack of a house. As you can see, it's just swaying and turning slightly.
Oh my god. Close the door. Close the door.
Smokey's just frozen.
I'm gonna.
I push Smokey and gesture everyone else to come in and close the door behind us.
Okay.
How long has she been dead for?
Make a medicine check.
Okay. Come on, I'm a cleric. I'm technically a doctor. That's probably like the worst sentence Fuck, I should say.
Technically, doctor.
22.
You
boy.
get the sense that she's been dead for a while. Could have been maybe anywhere from 5 days to a week.
I do not think I can bring her back from the Mister of Endlessness. Yeah. maybe.
Yes, well, oftentimes when someone goes to hang themselves, they leave some sort of message behind. Or perhaps she has been keeping some writings of what may have been plaguing her. Most obvious answer would, of course, be the loss of her daughter, but there may be more to it if there's been talk of bad dreams and the like around town as well. I'm going to see if I can find a journal. Since, Valindra, you are insistent on traveling in twos, should one of you come with me?
Good. Does Smokey look okay?
He's
Insight
starting-
check.
Okay.
Just cover his eyes. Cover your eyes, Newt. Just like walk about.
Fucking A. Alright.
I mean, he looks very quiet.
Of course he does. Yep. Sure. I can help. I guess. Smokey, Varkesha. Actually, I could probably stay here and ask her some questions.
That's pretty.
Do it.
I mean, I'll do whatever anyone wants.
Okay.
I'm going to look around. I will be back soon.
We should look around first so we don't ask redundant questions. I'll help Rook look. Smokey, Varkesh, you guys are good?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. I rolled a 9, so I believe you. I'll go help Rook look for a journal or a note or something.
I just looked down at Smokey. She believed me.
So you go ahead and you begin to search throughout the house to see if there's any trace, journal, paper, or otherwise, that you might be able to use to piece together what might have occurred. Go ahead and make an investigation check with advantage.
Rook, that's you, buddy. Because I'm not
That's
touching
only an
that.
18.
All right. So
Son of a bitch.
as you explore the house, you do see that there are a few things that just give hints to perhaps knowing exactly what each room might have been used for. You can see a bedroom that looks to be probably where she kept most of her belongings. You can see some spare dresses, a few little items like a hairbrush and some combs, and some very primitive glass jewelry. Nothing necessarily overly expensive, but just enough to make someone have a little bit of flavor and decor to themselves. But the other thing that you notice is another room. This one a little smaller. You can see that it's been made pristine. There's a fine layer of dust around it though, and you can see the sheets, though they've been kept and folded nicely. There is a doll on the side of the bed near the pillow. You can see this small anthropomorphic like bunny that seems to be sitting there with a dress, just left there. And you can see that the room has been untouched for some time. For the most part, there are no pieces of paper that are journals or suicide notes of any kind. It just looks to be as if a mother, stricken with grief, not wanting to live anymore. I will say, as you do investigate, you would notice that there are a few things that have been kind of, because with your investigative mind, you would probably see this a bit more, that the pantries and the places where food would be kept, they are barren. So it wasn't as if like she was living happily or had like a thing and then suddenly broke. It looks to be more to the point of someone just living for the sake of living, and then when everything ran out, just decided instead of to try and go outside to face the world, just stayed inside this dwelling and ended it there. So you get that idea that she used all that she had in her home before she took her life.
Way to make us miserable, Andrew.
I know, I'm so sad. Oh god. Okay.
It's like fucking watching Sophie's Choice.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal, but I mean,
I'll cut her down. Just
Okay.
hang there.
Well, before you, can I like? She definitely hung herself, right? Like nobody.
You can.
Like nobody killed her. I figured, but I just wanted to. Okay.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
see. You
never
can
mind,
see
just
that
cut
she
it
did. Yes.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and, I guess, lay her down here. Is good.
There.
Yeah, make sure to
Here.
speak loudly, Varkesh.
Here or here?
Here. Here. Right on. Yeah, here. Here's good.
Okay. Yep. Right.
All right.
Got it.
Setting the body down carefully. What do you wish to do?
well, most times in these cases we would notify next of kin, but from my understanding she doesn't really have much in the way of that. Perhaps we should talk to Mr. Maddox? We
What?
can't hear you, Kayla.
Ah!
We heard that.
Sweet. Do you want me to ask her some questions?
I think it's fairly obvious what occurred here. We could, I suppose, but that's definitely something we want to do before notifying anybody else.
She might know something a little bit more, like if her daughter found something in the forest that day, or
what her symptoms were.
That would definitely be worth asking.
okay.
I will keep a watch, make sure no one's going to walk up on us when we're dealing with this. And I'll just peek out the window.
I know what I can do. I can perform the very clerical duties of last rites.
Maybe not when we're about to make her temporarily undead.
When's a better time than to do that?
After that part.
After she's at rest again.
Very well, I shall wait.
Oh god, this is the most horrible thing we've ever done, you guys. Okay.
Not that we killed her.
I will cast Speak with Dead using my staff.
Okay. As you pull out the Rod of the Pack Keeper, this row of skulls leading up to the top, you bring it forward as you activate the spell, and once more, as Valindra closes her eyes and opens them again, the bright, brilliant blue, this ghostly white blue glow comes out of her mouth and her eyes before embedding themselves into the corpses, filling it with this false life, as eventually it just takes it in, and a blank stare returns to you. Bright white eyes, staring, waiting.
Okay. Alright.
Start simple, like, when did Annie first start getting sick?
Okay.
On what date?
Well, we could find that out from somebody else. Perhaps Maddox has that in his records. Isabel. Oh God, this is horrible. I hate this. Isabel, was there anything unique that your daughter found or someone she spoke to the day she got sick?
No.
Ask.
Did she perhaps go somewhere unusual?
She goes somewhere unusual the day before or a couple of days prior. Anything out of the ordinary.
Annie liked the woods.
Okay. Obviously the Raven one. What were her symptoms?
She grew quiet, and then didn't want to move. And then she died.
Okay. I don't like this.
Do it. Choke down those tears. Yeah. God, I don't know. I mean, what else can we even ask her?
Where in the woods did she normally play?
Okay. Was there a specific area in Ravenwood that she would go?
A small clearing, not too far in, surrounded by toadstools.
Okay. Did anyone go with her into the woods? Like a best friend?
No. It was just her and me. As the essence leaves her.
Wait, I have one more question. I used my
Do you?
rod,
I
right?
think you used 6.
No, I asked, was there anything unusual the day she got sick? And then...
Did she go anywhere unusual?
Was there anything unusual?
Go
Did she
anywhere.
go anywhere unusual? What were her symptoms? Where did she go in the forest that she liked to go? And does she have any friends?
5.
Yeah, that's 5, so
Yeah.
I get
Oh, you get
6.
6. You get 6. That's right.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
'cause you.
We
all right.
watched the essence.
All right. You have one more. And back in she goes.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Stay with me, Zeke.
Roaming charges.
Alright, so she said she was with her.
It was just her and Annie.
Okay. Alright.
The shot in the dark, but you could ask, did Annie have an imaginary friend?
Okay, would be good. Did Annie have an imaginary friend?
Her friend was Mrs. Hops, her stuffed bunny. As that last one comes out, it does return into Valindra's mouth and eyes. She regains herself once more.
Well, the course is clear. We must incinerate the stuffed bunny.
I mean, can't you?
I can check it for magic first.
Yeah, that might be a good idea. Let's go look at this bunny.
And I will say my last rites over the corpse.
Okay.
By the wings of the first one, may you be embraced in eternal light and taken forth into the kingdom of our Lord and Savior, the big daddy dragon in the sky. May your transgressions in life not really matter. All around, say hello to him. He might let you in. He's cool that way. Amen. Oh, make sure to get your hand stamped. Otherwise you can't get back in.
Oh my god. I will go get the bunny.
Okay.
I will take her outside and I will sacred flame the corpse.
No! If I see him leaving, I'm instantly gonna put a stop to that.
Cremation!
Varkash, no!
It is the cleric-y thing to do.
No, do not burn the corpse.
Did you want it?
No, I don't want it, but I mean, somebody in the town might want to pay respect.
They may have a differing custom around here. We should definitely at least speak to their leadership.
Yes.
Stick my head out the window and shout to the townspeople. Say,
No. I'm grabbing his tail and pulling him back in.
Oh. All right, so
Varkesh,
I need Varkesh to make a wisdom saving throw.
oh no!
Look, Valindra doesn't know about the tail. This is what happens when you don't fill her in on shit, you guys.
You weren't there, you decided to walk off!
I wasn't there.
Sorry, was that
Did this
wisdom
to
saving?
yourself.
Wisdom saving throw.
I have no idea what's happening.
Okay, Varkesh, as she does, she tugs you back, and there's a moment of kind of... The first pause is just the sudden surprise and an instinct of like a reflex that you want to do, but you're able to keep yourself in check from doing that, and you just feel that tug, but it's a butt clencher, but not enough to make you do anything as a quick reaction.
It's Valindra. She grabbed my tail.
Yes, I did. Don't stick your head out into the street.
I would not recommend grabbing his tail. You see that wound there? That'll
Hey!
hurt.
Let's not put my laundry out on that line that quickly there, Rook.
That's
I'm gonna
very
look
easily
at-
visible.
You can see the scars.
I've noticed the scars before.
Been looking at my tail, have you?
It's
surprised.
a very giant tail. You swing it around everywhere.
Yes, I do.
This is not an appropriate conversation to have in front of the dead. Let's go talk to Mr. Maddock and get this squared away.
I'll go get the bunny rabbit for Smokey to identify.
I guess
Varkesh, let's go.
Alright, so you grab the rabbit and bring it down for Smokey. As Varkesh and Rook, you head out the back, the front. Which way are you going?
Well, we'll go up the front.
Okay.
I will take the corpse with me.
Okay.
No,
No.
Varkish, leave the corpse here.
Need to take it so that the people can bury her or cremate
Well-
her.
They can come here.
Also, it seems like this thing, whatever it is, seems to be somehow contagious, so probably the less contact we have with his body, the better.
Yeah.
Well, we're fucked.
And you don't just want to carry a dead body through the streets. That's
That's a good way to cause mass hysteria, and then
Bring
it's
out
already
your
blowing up around.
dead! Bring out your dead!
So I take the bunny.
Alright, you take the bunny, yes.
I cast Identify on it, and I'm ritualing it.
Alright, so this is going to take you 10 minutes to do.
11, but yeah.
Oh, 11, sorry. So you take the time to cast this. Are you guys just going to let him finish it off before you do anything else?
I'll stay here with Smokey if you guys want to go get made dramatic.
I will actually let Rook do this. I will let him go off by himself.
Okay. So,
Because I trust the rogue.
okay. As you put trust in your rogue, Smokey, you cast Identify, not Detect Magic.
Not I cast identify. I don't have detect magic, so.
All right.
Identify.
Okay, so you cast Identify on the rabbit, and there is no magical item with the rabbit. It doesn't seem to have any properties. If it's a magic item or some other magic imbued. Okay.
There's a spell
Okay.
on it.
There is an enchantment that is on the rabbit. You do get a sense that there is almost like the closest thing we can kind of do this towards you for real life. It's like a router. You notice that there is some kind of either an enchantment or some kind of thing maybe hidden inside the doll that is used to act as a conduit, so that a certain specific kind of spell might be able to latch on and radiate from the doll.
Okay, this is a bad bunny, folks. There's something. It's acting as some sort of beacon for a spell. And I say this to just Valindra, because she's the one who's here. I think Barkesh is here too. It's just okay.
I'm here, guys. Just it's like high school all over again.
It's a beacon. I mean, can you tell where the original signal's coming from? Anything like that?
I mean, I would just have to guess, and I'd guess Ravenwood. But if I'd imagine that if I go to the other houses of the sick people, that if I were to go through items one by one, I may find one in each household where there's a sick person.
So why didn't the mother get sick?
Who said she didn't?
I mean, that's true. There was no food. Okay. I mean, should we destroy the bunny? Is that...
Smoker's gonna take his dagger and he's gonna just open up the bunny and explore through the stuffing and stuff.
As you open the bunny and tear open it a bit, you do see stuffing pop out, which looks to be made of a mixture of cotton, feathers, a variety of whatever is soft and could be used, but you notice that as you do open it, there's something inside. A small, wooden, wicker-based doll. Something very crude and simple, no more than perhaps maybe 4 to 5 inches in length, as it makes a little kind of star.
I don't touch it.
Is it a voodoo doll?
Not necessarily a voodoo doll, but you can kind of imagine like an effigy.
Fetish?
Does it look like a little girl?
No, it just looks like a crude humanoid form.
Okay.
I'm going to try casting prestidigitation on it, and I'm going to see if I can magic affects it, so I'm going to try and turn it red.
It turns red.
Oh.
Wait, why is it...
No, that was me.
Okay.
I'm just trying to see if it's safe to touch, so I can...
Poke it with a claw finger.
It feels like you're tapping twigs.
Okay. I'm going to try...
Evil twigs.
I could try to cast Identify just directly on it and see maybe if I get something a little more specific.
Sure. I don't know. I'm going to look out the window. Is Rook coming back? With Matic at this point?
I mean, if you are going to get Matic and bring him over?
Yes, that's what I was doing.
Yep, he would have come over at that time. So...
Well, Matic is coming, but go ahead and I guess Stark will explain what you're doing.
I'll get started on the...
Alright, as you get started on that, Rook does come in with Matic just a little bit behind him as he enters and sees the corpse of Isabel on the floor, and he sees you all looking around, watching Smokey examine what appears to be a torn-up doll and a little effigy in his hand.
I will... Okay, so, when we got here, Isabel was dead. She ended her own life. Didn't appear to be from any sort of sickness. We were able to learn that perhaps the bunny was involved. And so we opened the bunny and we found that little effigy inside it, and this cat right here is very good at understanding magic and everything like that, so he's currently seeing if there's anything else he can learn from it.
As you are saying this, he is slowly walking towards you, but he does kneel down and look at Isabel for a moment, as he just kind of mutters slightly under his breath for a moment. And then he looks up at you. When was she... Did you just cut her down?
Yeah, we just found her and we took her out from her position.
I will have some take her body and bury her next to her daughter.
So you don't cremate?
No, we bury. We have a cemetery, and he points further back on the opposite side of where the river was.
Good to know. Mistakes could have been made.
Is that in the same direction that...
Ravenwood is?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We should probably check out the cemetery as well, guys.
I would like to pick up that weird effigy type thing within the bunny.
I'm holding it.
Yeah, he's currently holding it, doing identify.
Oh, are you identifying it currently?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I will either way gesture for Maddox. It was like, do you... Any clue? Have you seen stuff like this before? Any rumors from those creepy woods?
He looks at it for a moment and kind of frowns. That kind of doll. Yes, I've seen it once before. In
Ooh,
Ravenwood.
getting somewhere.
It was
Okay.
hanging from a branch in Ravenwood.
Oh, God. I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with this. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my.
I don't have a video camera. This won't work.
If we have a primitive radio, we can at least hear them talking to us. Don't worry about it. Well, I do believe we found a potential source. The Ravenwood seems to have some inhabitants that are preying upon your population in a way.
Do you remember exactly what tree it was? I mean, could you lead us there again or just draw us a map to that specific location?
It's been a while. Do you have a map?
Yes.
He
Ta-da!
lets you pull out the map, and as he does, he goes, "You have it marked already."
Yes. It's so I can remember that I've been here before.
Then
And
you
that-
would have seen the doll. It was right there, where he marks where the X is for the base.
Oh, God.
Oh. Quick question. Was there a really tall, bald-headed git with a really bad attitude and a disposition for making mutants? Just asking.
No. What?
Okay.
I haven't seen anyone taller than you. You're the tallest thing I've ever met.
I know, I know.
Thing.
Big anime like sparkle. Has there been any you know how villagers are, and they say, "Oh, it's a hobgoblin." "Oh no, it's a wicker man." And it's like, is there anything, any spook schools or goblins or any kind of known named things that you may believe may have made that weird little thing?
Anyone could make it. The closest thing I've seen that has a darker nature to itself has been some of the undead that we have cleared out occasionally that wander the lands ever since the Age of Reckoning, but nothing more than just the rabble that seem to have roamed the wilds looking for flesh. But we dispatch them quickly. We erase them, just burn their bodies to ash and sprinkle it throughout the soil. We don't let it linger.
Right. So, question for the DM. With the apparent curses that people are being afflicted with and weird effigies and children's stuffed toys and all that creepy bollocks, could I maybe ascertain to, as a member of the clergy, that this could be heresy, most foul, or some cool kind of witchcraft, maybe?
Make an intelligence check.
This might not end very well.
You got this, buddy.
No, I don't.
Well,
No.
you jinxed yourself.
No,
So.
absolutely not. There's
Wait,
no... There's nothing that you are familiar with that could tie into anything outside the norm of what you would call good religion or good forces versus evil forces. It just seems like it's a tool. Anyone could use it.
Mr. Maddock, a couple of questions. One, when you encountered the effigy before, did anything strange happen like this? I mean, did you touch it? Did you leave it where it was?
No, it was high in the treetops, maybe
Okay.
30 feet off the ground.
And this bunny rabbit that little Annie carried, when did she get it? And do you know, I mean, did you see her start carrying it around about the time she got sick, or her
Her
mother?
mother made that for her. She's had that since she was a baby.
No. Smokey, was there any type of, like, re-stitching?
Am
On
I
the-
awake?
At this point, you would have finished your identify.
Okay. Do I learn anything new?
You learn that the Wicker Man little effigy thing here is the source of the magical beacon, and you get a mixture of magic. It's hard to identify a specific property to it. It seems to have an odd experimentation to it, as if like someone is mixing and mingling enchantment, transmutation, necromancy. It's a weird, almost kind of like a tested formula. It seems to be very similar to an experiment if someone were to maybe try and see what the effects of different spells or enchantments put together could produce.
Alright. So this thing is definitely the culprit. It doesn't have any specific spell, but it has just a mishmash of a bunch of different sources of power. It seems kind of experimental, like maybe something we've seen before, only with magic.
That sound awfully familiar to where we were previously. The optimum word being experiment.
That's what I was trying to allude to, but yes.
Tools of magic instead of people and monsters.
A lute is a musical instrument.
So anywho,
Or you know.
I think, Major, is there someone we can possibly hire who knows these woods really well as a guide?
Many don't go into the woods, they don't explore it. We don't even hunt in it, we hunt down the river if we are to find any food. We only go into the edge of Ravenwood to gather trees for lumber, but to enter the woods, you have to be mad or desperate to search in there. The only reason I went in there recently was to pursue a creature that had come into Assault Woodhall, a terrifying creature made of weird bone and straw. And we had to chase it out. I followed it, and it eventually led me to that one space in the woods, but I would never stay there.
That would have been nice to know. I don't say that.
It's like, you never asked, so...
It's an internal monologue where she's going,
We asked if there were any strange going-ons, unfamiliar faces, or anything that's out of the ordinary. We did do ask.
This isn't out of the ordinary.
"Hey,
Alright.
fucking
Fair enough.
So, okay, this bone straw man, this is something you've dealt with often?
Creatures of this kind, yes, we see many of them. Some of them are made mostly of broken bone and twigs brought together. We assume there's some alternate form of undead that maybe perhaps lost limbs or things that keep them to function. They tie crude appendages to themselves to keep them going. We assumed they were just the typical undead. Nothing more.
So, out of curiosity, what if you filed with these things a lot before? What's effective for harming them? I assume if they're made of wood and straw, fire is good, right?
You could, I suppose. It will certainly light the part of it that is kindling, but the bone doesn't catch to flame. Radiant, holy, divine energies are best against undead, and we usually defer to them if we are to chase them away.
You've got another cleric since me? That's pretty good.
No, we don't.
Oh.
But we do
Never
have
mind.
one who is blessed with divine light.
Cool.
And is this person new to the village, or?
No, he arrived not about 2 months when you left Vakesh, and he stayed with us. But his patron
Somebody-
called him elsewhere.
Oh, so he's not here anymore.
He left about a month ago.
I see. Well, do you want us to go into the woods? I'm up for a walk.
Their
I
name
suppose I don't
was
think it's a matter of wants.
their name was Sir Robin. Perhaps you know them.
Do I know a Sir Robin?
You do not.
Nope, don't ring a bell.
But were they a human or something?
Stupid name, though.
No, Sir Robin was a half-elf.
And have.
Any of us know Sir Robin? Does that sound familiar to any of you guys?
No, none of you have heard of Sir Robin before.
All these creatures, do they tend to attack during the day or the night?
Oh, at night. Everything foul comes at night.
Okay, so, Smokey turns to everyone. So we're going into the woods and out of the woods and home before dark, okay?
He says, hopefully.
Smokey, did you happen to notice it? It looked like the bunny was restitched recently.
I can look for it now. So
Ma-
I'll try to investigate.
Make an
Yeah,
investigation check.
Like a type of
Yeah. An
thread
alternative,
that's different from the rest.
an alternative seam to what I just cut.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
I'll
see.
help him out with that.
All right, you can make it with advantage. Oh, well, the 26 is pretty
Probably
good.
don't need it.
All right. So, you basically tore the rabbit from the front to get inside it, but as you inspect it and look behind, you can see that as you lift the dress and you look on its back, there is a small, what you can see, slit right there with a bit of fine stitching. It's very small, almost like a very fine scar on the back of the doll, and you can see that it has been tightly bound back, but it is there.
Alright, yeah, it looks like this stitching is different from all the rest of it. And whoever did it, they really knew what they were doing.
I mean, does it look like the same kind of stitch work that the mom used when she made it?
Make an
Is it-
insight check.
Are there other examples of
I say we go into those woods, hunt them down, and make them reap what they sow.
sewing insight?
Inside the bunny rabbits.
19!
Nice!
So, doing a bit of a comparison and basically recalling on some of the things that you saw when you looked at Isabel's clothing, when there might have been tears in the skirts or pieces where that might have had a quick mend to them, you recognize more of a crude stitch work. This is very, very refined and very tight, and the thread is not made of what you can at least tell from any kind of fabric or cloth. It looks to be made of something more firm, probably closer to gut.
I'm taking my dagger and I'm gonna cut the stitching and try and pull out the thread
Okay.
of the.
As you do, you just try to do a quick nick and then eventually get to a point where you find a bit of continuing strand. You have to kind of do a little bit of a wick before it just kind of eventually then becomes a thing to pull out. It pulls out, and it's a very long, tough bit of string, closer to what you would assume is made sometimes for instruments, like fiddles. It looks to be like the gut of some kind of animal stomach.
Okay. So whoever put the effigy in, they sewed it up with some sort of intestine.
Ah,
And they were very familiar with doing such things. About what time is it right now?
It's about maybe 2, 3 in the afternoon.
I say we find a place to stay, and we make it go at the woods at first light.
I think that's reasonable. Maybe our best bet. Another thing to keep in mind, though, is that last place we found this last group that was experimenting on monsters had a trick to gaining entry. Theirs may have something to do with the night if these creatures are only coming out at night.
I mean, it's possible, but I mean, if nothing else, I think getting a safe lay of the land is probably a better option than just being surprised.
Well, that's true. It would be better to go in with an understanding of the land from the light before getting into the thick of the night.
We could try going in like right now and then turn around in 2 hours before we get too deep that we can't get back out before sunset.
No, I think you had a point. We should stay overnight and leave at first light. It'll give us some time to really look around first, and if we can't find a way in, come back at night. We'll already be going into nighttime at that point. Find a decent place, get some watchers going, and maybe see a way in.
Anyone else everyone okay with that plan?
Yeah,
I mean, I say we go now, but okay.
I mean, if we want to... I don't want to go into the creepy woods, you guys. I can...
But we have a documentary to shoot.
Oh, God, no. I can't send Winnie to at least try to find the place of the toadstool so we know where we're going tomorrow.
We need to do that part today. I mean, that wasn't supposed to be very far into the woods.
Yeah. It's close enough that she could go there without her mom needing to go there with her all the time.
Yeah.
Well, if we do that, this marking on our map isn't very far into the woods either, and it may well be in a similar location.
Let's check out the toadstool place and see how we feel from there.
I don't like the look on AJ's face. I'm scared.
I am not making a face.
Make your decision.
I'm so scared.
I'm not doing anything. I'm
Yeah,
just sitting here going like, listening, okay.
Oh, God. Okay. I guess we should go into the woods there.
Well, then let's go. Let's get a move on before it starts getting darker.
Okay, so are you all heading to the woods?
We're all
Yes.
heading to the
Okay,
woods.
all right. So you all just kind of leave Maverick to Matic to handle Isabel, and he does seem to go off to get a few other extra hands to help him carry the body as well as to bring it to the cemetery. You make your way outside the perimeter of this palisade wall that surrounds Wood Hall, and you make your way to the edge of the woods. You can see again the twisted, gnarled roots that are upturned and moved about. It's very hard for anyone of your size to move through. You do see that if you were perhaps a little girl or a smaller child, it's a lot easier to duck and bob and weave between these kind of like twisted brambles. So you get the sense that for Annie, it probably was no problem at all to just skirt in and skirt out. For you, you might have to either break your way through or try your best to climb or maybe squeeze.
I just barge on through.
Alright. Varkesh, with no grace and no care, just splinters some of the roots, walks over some. You hear snapping noises as he breaks past.
Barkesh,
What?
If-
What?
this is a place where your dad has a base. Wouldn't it be better to try to not draw attention to ourselves?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you not want me to take all the brambles?
I'm just saying you don't have... I mean, can you... No, just...
I, for one, think you're a fantastic trailblazer, Varka.
Thank you. I was part bulldozer in a previous life.
What's a bulldozer?
Don't know.
It's
It's,
someone who sleeps with bovines.
I was gonna say male cow that sleeps a lot.
That was-
narcolepsy.
I'm weird.
A narcoleptic bull, but yes.
But
yes.
I will smash my way through with my mace. It's not an ideal chopper, but it will smash through some limbs and other things. And seeing as I am Dragonborn, the brambles and small, sharp, prickly things will not really affect me. That and bug bites. excellent advantage, by the way. Can
So,
never get this key.
I will keep a lookout to see if anybody is watching us.
okay, make a perception check as Varkesh basically barges his way through, having you all follow behind him.
And T-Rexing through the forest.
So, Valindra, you keep an eye out, looking around to see if there's anything that might be watching or perhaps maybe scouting out your party. You see a few birds that seem to roost in the branches. Most of them look to be like crows, black feathered creatures that stare and then occasionally will flutter off with a away as they rustle and you hear the
Do they all,
Quiet!
do they all fly in the same
My
direction?
people!
they fly randomly, it seems. There's no pattern to their direction. So, but you all push forward, and you make your way looking for which one. You want to go into the map with the location for the base, or are you looking specifically for the toadstool?
Toadstool.
You want to go for toadstool first?
It's at the edge of the...
Alright, so Varkesh, you're cutting through. You're basically just trying to just make a path through it. The rest of the party can try and look for it and make a perception check to see it. Valindra's focusing up, so that's Rook and Smokey looking around.
Okay, I wouldn't have been any use anyway, you guys.
I believe in you.
Must have faith in your digital dice, and you shall roll successfully.
I don't think that's the issue here.
So are we rolling too?
Yeah, both you and Rook.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
7 on dice and a 1 on dice. This has
Alright.
not been a good week for rolls for me.
So, Smokey, it's kind of difficult to see past a lot of the large roots that seem to block most of the sight around the woods. Rook, you do see what appears to be, as you kind of hop up a little bit to get a better vantage to look around, you can see what appears to be some form of either a beacon of light or some kind of break in the tree line, and you can see just in the distance, farther away, what appears to be a small little, not really a glade or a grove, but just a small opening where some grass has formed, and you can see what appears to be a ring of some kind of mushroom. It's hard to tell exactly what it is, but you can see just the vague, faint colors in the distance.
I think I may see where we're going. It's over this way. And I'll gesture over at where I see that break.
Alright. Giving a little bit of a turn, you go a bit off course to where you believe the X is, so you're kind of moving around. By the way, Varkesh, make a survival check for me.
Oh, don't make me fall over into brambles.
No, that would be more of a dexterity.
You want me to make a survival check?
Survival. Okay.
Okay, 13.
So basically, it's more or less you're trying to go off the path of what you believe is the most direct route, so then you're going to have to retrace yourself. So you make your way, and you do reach what appears to be this small little clearing. You can see a mixture of what they look to be red, kind of mushrooms, just a bright red, no spots, that seem to pepper around the side. They have a more, what you would see like a flat top as they're arched up this way, like a little table. And they seem to just maybe have about 8 around in a bit of a ring.
If I walk into them, will they make me grow taller?
You could try.
Well, there's only one way to find out, Varkesh.
Mario mushrooms. The best kind.
You can try. If you want to, you can make a nature check if you want to analyze the mushrooms.
I'll give it a shot.
Smokey's gonna do that too.
Okay.
I suck at nature. I'll give it a shot. So, ooh, okay, that's not that bad.
Okay. Varkesh, you would know this more or less off, like, firsthand. Smokey, you would eventually register it as it clicks when Varkesh kind of makes the exclamation that these particular toadstools are notoriously known to be used in health potions. The red caps are what give the bright red glow to the liquid, and in the raw form, they can provide some healing. Not as much as when they're refined, but they can provide a bit of health if you need it.
Do you want me to pick these?
I mean, I don't really see a reason why we shouldn't, but I have some sort of intuition that maybe there's something we should do first. I don't know what it is.
Oh, please, it's just the woods getting to you. I understand it's a dreary atmosphere, but they're mushrooms. And I'll walk up and pluck one right there.
Okay, you pull it out. It comes out rather easily. You just have it in your hand.
I'll start shoveling them into my bag of holding.
Okay.
Can I try to like investigate around, look for mostly any other possible effigies, or maybe even just like little strings that are hanging from the trees?
Make an investigation check.
All
I look around and see if we see like footprints or evidence of creatures that have come in and out.
Sure. Make a survival check for you. So as you look around, there doesn't seem to be any strings or dolls hanging within this grove specifically. It looks to be pretty barren of any kind of nefarious, vile work. Valindra, you can see what appears to be evidence of some wildlife that might have moved around, but you also see evidence of creatures that might not be so passive. You see claw marks that do seem to rake themselves across the sides of the trees, sometimes on the roots. You can see that something might have leapt and left a cleave of some claws inside. You can see traces of that, but as to the exact creature that might have done it, you don't know.
Okay, so no evidence of like anything fiendish crawling around in this area.
It could be, it could not be. Hard to tell.
Okay.
How many shrooms did I gather?
8.
Okay.
These are 1d4. That's it.
That's not bad. Should wake someone up.
1d4.
Oh, can I see one of those?
Is that a yes?
Positive or negative
Interpret it as you will.
Go
I'm gonna
ahead.
take one.
All right, you
I'll
have a
take
mushroom.
one and drop it into that vial of weird, like, vinegar from earlier and put a stopper in it.
You probably have to break up the mushroom to do that. It's like a
I mean,
stalk
I
with
can-
a wide rim.
Might as well, we'll do it.
Okay, so you just break it off into pieces and kind of stuff the chunks inside there as you just jiggle it a bit, and they have floating bits as the red dye that is natural to this fungus just kind of starts to seep out, and the water becomes more red.
Shake it a little bit. I have no idea what this will do, but might as well.
Smokey looks up into the sky. Can I see like how far close we are to sunset?
You've traveled no more than 30 minutes.
Let's push on.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Let me look at the map. Could I do like an intellect check to see like if this was how far? Can I guesstimate how long it would take us to get to the thing further into the woods?
Sure, intelligence check.
Intelligence. 23.
You get the sense that it is probably less than an hour from the edge of the woods.
And sunset is in.
Well, if it was around 2 to 3, you've only spent half an hour. You've got at least another good 2 to 3 hours before the sun sets and then darkness.
All right. Really quick.
I don't know how I. Okay.
I say we push on into the dark, creepy woods where nothing bad will happen.
Very clearly something bad is going to happen. We could be in the middle of a city in broad daylight and something bad is going to happen. I don't know if you've noticed or not. I think we're cursed.
Actually, you have a problem with shops and stores in general. Rook has problems with ne'er-do-wellic, underworldly individuals.
I have no idea what you mean.
Smokey is a cat.
What's that supposed to mean?
Smokey is absolutely perfect in every
I know,
way.
That's why I didn't say anything negative. He's just a cat. And then there's me.
So I was thinking that if we left like markers directing which way to go in case we were in a hurry to get out, we could just follow the markers. Like he takes out his dagger and just carves an arrow back towards the way they came.
Are you wanting to vacuum right
Into a
now?
tree.
Oh my goodness, guys, this is so
I'll just shut
turning
the
into
door
the
real
Blair
quick.
Witch Project.
Love it.
So,
So,
you guys are going to go back onto the same trail.
Mhm.
And, okay, keeping to the path that you
Yeah.
had already set out towards the location on the map that you have marked. You make your way back into the line that Varkesh had made, and you continue on in that direction. As you spend another 30 minutes carving your path through the woods, you do eventually reach the part where you believe that this X was marking. Now, as you look around, you do begin to notice a growing amount of what appears to be signs of these interesting figures and other types of totems or pieces that hang from the trees. Some of them look like wicker dolls, and some of them look more like dream catchers. Twigs that have been spiraled into circles and made with a mesh of different wires and things going across. However, you do see that they all have what looks to be a perverted kind of symbolism to them. I need everyone to make a religion check for me.
Oh no.
Why not? What am I good at?
Nat 20.
that 20 for 22?
Not me.
That doesn't matter for me then.
Straight up.
Fucking
Okay.
9.
So,
This is like the 80th 9 I've rolled.
so all right, Rook
Angry guys.
and
It's okay.
Smokey, you start to notice that some of these symbols that have been used, they almost seem to be like a mocking kind of representation of some of the symbols that the deities use to represent their presence or when someone worships them. You can see that the circle that's been wrapped around with a bunch of wires has inside of it, instead of a green leaf, has a blackened leaf. It seems to be perverting the nature god. You see another one where instead of it just having what appears to be what usually has been associated as twin moons, two circles, that has also been broken apart, and there's a cut in the middle, as if they've been separated, as if the two things were divided from one another. You can also see that some of the other... There are wicker men, which, mind you, do not represent any of the other deities, but there are these little totems that seem to have an additional element to them. You get the sense that by staring at them, Rook specifically, you get the idea that this is kind of like almost a way to kind of blind the deities and the divine from this location. It's kind of a way to negate a scrying or a presence to be able to peer in from any of those specific deities, because you know Varkesh, and he does seem to have some capabilities that might allow him to be able to look in on people. And maybe
Some
perhaps,
capability.
and by perhaps maybe spying. This seems to be something where of people who have this kind of like divine assistance to make them be able to do this would get dampened or sometimes blocked entirely.
Someone has spent a great deal of time shielding themselves from deities around here. I think perhaps we should see if we can spot any that would be under your deity, the dragon.
I doubt that.
I kind of point out anything that may be recognizable to him, such as that nature god or the two moons.
You
and the
don't
like.
see one that represents something of Varkesh's one. They seem to be the main 7.
Okay.
And as he points them out, I'm going to shoot Sacred Flame to all of them.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Cool.
your Sacred Flame just hits some of them. They get knocked a little bit. They kind of bobble. Eventually, some will get knocked off and fall to the ground.
I will keep Sacred Flaming them until they're all destroyed.
Okay, but you get a good sense of the ones that are within your nearby vicinity that you just occasionally keep snapping them off whenever you approach and find one. But you
Josh, are these deities that did they specifically offend your father? I mean, why these specific deities and not...
Well, they're the primary 7. They have some of the highest highest rate of worshippers around this entire great continent.
My god's the Forgotten One.
Hmm.
Long, long forgotten. So it's not surprising why there isn't any effigies of him hanging around here, but I don't like the fact that there's mocking symbols of greater deities hanging here, so even though I don't worship them, I feel it's kind of my responsibility to destroy them. Maybe get some brownie points.
Is there one... what is her name? For the goddess...
you were raised under?
Yes.
The change bringer?
Yes, there is. You can see what appears to be bowls that are hung on their side so that any ash or letter that might have been resided in there would pour out to the side. And there are holes in the bottom of the bowls.
Never mind then.
Never mind.
Yeah. Never mind.
I shoot them down.
And you hear like a touching as some of the ceramic bowl breaks apart.
So in this place, is there like one specific tree that has these things? Is it more of a grove type thing? What exactly do we see?
As you enter this area and you start looking around, you can see that when you began to approach this X on the spot, that they started to appear scattered around, and as you kind of make your way to the heart, you are surrounded by these. A multitude of them seem to be placed around. You can tell that you're probably in the heart, but at the moment what you see is a majority of ancient trees, very dark, blackish kind of wood, digging their roots around and moving into very, very odd places. But as you do look around, Varkesh is focusing mostly on those. You three can make perception checks.
Okay.
You gone, devil ball.
Okay. Rook,
Good lord.
you notice it off the bat immediately, that as you look around and you kind of do an imagination of where the center might be, you look at a tree, this one very old, very black. The bark is more like an ash or a soot than any kind of color you can see. And as you approach it and look around it, you notice that there's something that looks a little off. And as you peer in a little closer, you can see that as you look under and around the tree, there's a slight hidden crack inside of it, a dark kind of cut. And it blends in with the bark, but as you kind of peer and notice its presence, as you move from side to side, it widens a little bit. And you can see that it descends down into the dirt.
Sleepy Hollow, anyone?
I believe I may have found our way in.
To what?
Into this base.
I look
Come
at
here.
the tree with the split and I go, it's definitely a receiving tree rather than a giving tree.
Yes, well, as you can see, regardless, there is this tunnel moving down into it.
Is it like a staircase? Is it more like a ladder, or is it more like almost like a
It's more
portal
like a
sort of
dirt
thing?
staircase.
Okay.
A bit of roots and packed dirt that have made steps that lead down. Uneven and broken apart, but they are steps nonetheless.
So we found our way in fairly easily. Doesn't seem to be a trick to it. At this point, they know we're here with us having destroyed all of these different effigies. I think we might as well just go in.
Yep, I cast light on my mace and I will proceed down the steps.
No, stop, Varkesh. At this
We need
point,
to go!
No, we need to be stealthy.
That's kind of hard for me.
Well, we're gonna have you go towards the rear, or I can make you smoke.
There are options.
Dragon's choice. Which one do you want?
Ooh, tough one.
I'm very hard to spot, and if you're with me, you can be the first in the front lines.
Okay, I'll go inside the bottle. Or the water skin.
I cast gaseous form on Varkesh.
Okay. Varkesh, once more assuming the form of the cloud, you just become a vapor, and the bottle is popped open for you to then sink inside as you fill up the skin, and it's just you cozying up in there, kind of in this little comfy, dark little spot. But yeah, you're fine.
Belendra, do you mind giving me Winnie again?
Kiss Winnie on the head and put him on Rook's head. Took him under the cloak.
Okay.
I mean, him. I always die.
And Smokey, are you holding on to the bottle?
No, Rook is going to hold on to the bottle.
All right.
He's taking it.
Rook holds on to the Varkesh bottle. All right. So, Rook, you go ahead for about how many feet?
I'll go ahead at least 45 feet.
Okay. So, as you all look and wait for him to go down the stairs for a bit, you wait until he's out of sight, as you then all follow after him. Everyone make a stealth check for me, except for Varkesh.
25.
15.
Okay. So, trying to move as quietly as you can, you do hear the occasional "ow" from Valindra as she missed a root that was kind of up there, and she dunks a little bit, or she just kind of slips and makes a tiny bit of noise, but she's trying her best to be stealthy. It's just sometimes she might have let the occasional echo go through the hall. And Rook, you would hear this coming from behind you a little bit, kind of making you just kind of wince a little slightly as the bit of evidence of your intrusion just becomes more apparent with their the rest of the party approaching you. As you exit the stairwell, you enter what appears to be a dirt-made hall. You can see that the roots of the trees are still pushing down from the soil above, as many of these broken root systems are just like weaving around like these mutated spider webs almost that seem to just kind of droop and cover the ceiling and push out from the sides of the walls. But you also notice that as you enter and look around, strings of rope, wire, and other interesting resources used to make these little beams that go across and seem to decorate the entire ceiling with, again, hanging totems, effigies, fetishes, bones, all these varying types of what you could assume to be imbued items or crudely made items to probably house maybe some magic property to them. You don't know what, but they do scatter across the entire ceiling. And as you make your way quietly, slowly forward, go ahead and make a perception check for me. 23?
Yep.
All right.
You would have speed for stealth. So.
You do notice that some of the roots and the trees that seem to kind of like house themselves in around the area, they have tucked within them a variety of what looks to be jugs, rubble, and what you could assume might be broken pieces of body parts that are kind of sticking out of the walls as if they were embedded in dirt or pulled by the roots. It's hard to say, but they're kind of nestled within this kind of webbing of wood.
That being the case, I'd like to look carefully and see if I can spot anything that might trip a trap into this. And I won't really move forward at this point in time. I'll wait for Smokey and Valindra to catch up.
Okay. Yeah, they would at this time, as you investigate, make an investigation check, as they would appear at the end of the actual hall coming out of the stairwell.
18.
So, there's nothing necessarily trapped about them. You don't see any wires or tripwires that might be on the ground, hidden, or pressure plates that'd be used to maybe activate anything. Nothing looks like the trees would be part of a trap. There's no apparent mechanism that you could recognize as a trap.
Okay.
Seeing Rook frozen, I will message him. Is everything okay?
Well, he's only about 10 feet in front of you.
I'll still do it silently.
Okay.
Yes, I just don't like seeing these things embedded in the walls. It looks strange to me, but don't see any traps. I'm going to move on ahead.
All right.
Why did we stop?
As you walk forward more, you get the sense that you start to kind of move, and as your presence begins to become more apparent in this chamber, the wind and the air that you kind of displace as you move begins to make some of the bones rattle and shake, and some of the feathers begin to twist and turn as some of the totems and effigies start to spin. You see them now begin to spin a little bit more. And they seem to be
Can I
moving.
cast a spell magic?
Sure. Where are you going to cast it?
You said it's sort of the ceiling area that has.
There is a massive string of all these things around you. It's like the worst kind of yarn mess that you can see just like spattered around and chaotically made across the ceiling.
So knowing how distill magic works, would I know if I can? Would it just hit one of them, or what do I think I can do with it?
You know that you can remove one effect either from an object, a creature, or an area.
I'm going to do something. I'll do area. No, I'll hold it.
Okay. All right. As you hold it and see this going on, I need all 4 of you to please make wisdom saving throws.
Oh God.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna
Hey,
do
that one, boys. I knew it was coming again eventually.
I'm so not wise, y'all.
I don't think any of them
Okay.
are that far.
All right. So Varkesh, you're fine. So as
All I can say is thank God the cleric saved.
so
Jesus Christ.
as you all walk in, you hear this faint sound that whispers in your ear, and all of you experience it differently, but you hear this kind of slight
I'm out.
this weird kind of laughing, and then each of you hears a soft whispering in your ear. Rook, you hear what sounds like a little bit of a odd language, something that you're not familiar with, and then after the echoing you hear slight tones that just say, "What a bird, pretty and nice. Better when he's plump, round, and tight." Valindra, you hear someone say, "Beauty, ugh, what a terrible state. We can fix that. Don't worry. No, wait." For you, Smokey, you hear what sounds like, "Festering feline. Perhaps you prefer to be canine." And as these little whispering words come through you, each of you looks upon each other as you hear it, but you also notice these odd changes as a bit of magic begins to infest your body, and you begin to feel this invasion of magic, this weird, grotesque mutation. Rook, you start to feel really tight and very weird, and suddenly you look down at yourself. You notice that your stomach is growing and getting larger and wider. You start to see some of the feathers pushed out of the way. Your arms become a little bit fleshy and loose, and you feel this large amount of mass putting itself on you as you begin to double in size, and your weight is increased by 2 times the normal amount as you become engorged. Valindra,
What?
you feel odd, a weird tingling sensation as you feel this weird, like, kind of stretching and pulling of your face and your features. Your chest tightens a little bit and your pants just feel weird and wrong, and as you kind of look around a bit, it just feels off, but you don't notice anything really. As you look at your hands, they just look a little hairier to you at first, but nothing else surprises you. For you, Smokey, you feel a very forced, odd protrusion coming from your face as it grows out a bit more, and your fur changes its color as instead of becoming poofy, it becomes a little bit more shaggy and loose. As you all look at each other, Valindra, you look like a man, a very unattractive looking man. Imagine like Danny DeVito. You kind of look like him a little bit. A bit short, a bit
DeVito's a
balding.
national treasure.
You've got that kind of going on. Smokey, you look more like a dog, closer to perhaps a golden retriever. Instead of an actual tabaxi, you seem to have a more doofy look to your face, and you kind of feel a bit more simple-minded as suddenly your intelligence is dampened. Valindra, your charisma is dampened. Rook, your dexterity is dampened. Each of you takes a -1 to your primary stat.
Wait, what does Rook look like then?
Rook looks like a very large, fat Kenku bird, probably like the largest rotund, almost kind of like a berry-like, massive shape.
A -1 modifier or a -1 stat point?
-1 on dexterity, all attacks, all abilities, anything made with that stat for the moment. You are -1 on dex.
Is it like
Okay.
Wait, like -1 as the modifier, or we lose 1 in our stat?
Modifier. You currently are afflicted with a minus effect onto it.
Okay. So just take one off because we're all.
Whenever you roll for something, just -1, basically, if it involves that specific stat.
So,
Which is fucking everything.
So
Great.
Valindra's new catchphrase is my magnum dong, and Smokey is a Labrador, and
But-
Rook's an obese bird.
And as this happens, you do hear the this weird echoing, and as it does, Varkesh, you begin to hear the sound too, and now suddenly the sound becomes louder, and you hear, "Sisters, we have guests, yes, we have guests, visitors, uninvited visitors. No, uninvited visitors shouldn't be welcomed. No, they should be punished, 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 punished." And all three of them begin to echo and chant this word, and as they do, you look around you and you can see the body parts that were stuck inside the dirt begin to pull and move from the actual soil and emerge, as you can see these horrific constructs, these sackcloths that have been formed into these grotesque shapes of human faces, limbs and body parts pushing out as twigs, straw, leaf, and other debris become kind of stuck to this humanoid form, that as they pull out, you can hear a as they all lock on each of you. And then they all move in quick speed as the cracking noise of the twigs break apart, and they all swarm you. And that is where we're going to end for today.
Ah!
So, yes.
I don't want to be a man for a week.
What happened?
Yes. By the way, there is another additional effect for you guys. Rook, your movement speed is reduced by half.
Ooh, that sucks.
Valindra, you yourself find that not only is your charisma reduced by 1, you also have disadvantage on all charisma-based skills.
Oh my god!
These are basically like persuasion, deception, intimidation. Smokey,
Oh.
your brain is a little bit befuddled and baffled. Whenever you try to cast a spell, you will have to make an intelligence saving throw. If you do not succeed, you kind of lose focus on what you want to intend to cast, and will instead randomly cast from your spell table. So, as we come back next week and combat ensues, you shall be having fun with some of these new features for yourself, until Varkesh might maybe join you in this version of dampening that you
No,
all
he won't.
are experiencing.
No, we fucking won't.
Oh, it might. I mean, you rolled really well, but you might join in.
Concentration.
Yeah, but yes. So, thank you all for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed the little adventure of exploring Woodhall and getting into Ravenwood. And of course, we will be back next week, Sunday, at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And of course, be sure to catch our other stream, also 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Tuesdays. And of course, from me, Valindra, Varkesh, Smokey, and Rook, thank you so much, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care, everybody.
Good night.
Have a good one.